Shrota, can we stop the music? Judges have joined us. Welcome, Professor Radhey, and I hope Dr. Reetu and Zehidul is there.
Yeah, she and our you are in Himalayan region. Yeah, because she's raising climate change issue and that's why she's showing glaciers. Huh?
Hello, sir.
Judge started judging.
Yeah. नमस्कार मैडम।
नमस्ते, क्या हाल चाल है?
बस हाल तो ठीक है, तो चाल दुनिया बताई।
नहीं अच्छी रहनी चाहिए सबकी।
जी जी, वैसे खैरियत है, सब ठीक है, आप सुनाइए।
That is great. सब ठीक चल रहा है
जी,
वैसे चल रहा है।
जी
और आप सब ठीक ठाक है?
जी जी,
आपका डिपार्टमेंट सेंटर
डिपार्टमेंट सेंटर सब ठीक चल रहा है। अब तो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की तैयारी हो रही है, जैसा जो समझ में आ रहा है उसके वी आर वर्किंग।
ओके,
यहाँ टू एडजस्ट के कैसा आई मीन मास्टर डिग्री कैसे होगी और
तो क्यूसेट होगा ही इस बारी।
हाँ लगता तो है, क्योंकि जो ऑल्दो देयर आर सम कंसर्न, जैसे कुछ लोग कंसर्न एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं, लेकिन पास तो हो ही गया है। जब पास हो गया तो फिर इम्प्लीमेंट भी हो जाएगा।
4 years।
हाँ, पिछली बार भी होना था, वैसे तो पिछली बार भी कुछ
अच्छा।
कोर्सेज में तो इन्होंने इम्प्लीमेंट करना था, इसीलिए लेट हुआ। जो डेट्स वगैरह जो है वो इसलिए लेट हो गई थी, क्योंकि वी आर रेडी इवन फॉर लास्ट, आई मीन जस्ट टू शेयर विद यू, जो अपने मास्टर लेवल पर जो है हम तैयार थे लास्ट ईयर भी।
अच्छा, चलिए।
तो फिर वो लास्ट मोमेंट पे चेंज हुआ कि नहीं अभी नहीं, क्योंकि वी हैव नॉट गिवन एनफ टाइम टू द स्टूडेंट्स, इसलिए फिर
Fine. I think Mr. Zehidul Hussain has also joined us. So with your permission, we can start. Can we start?
सब सुनाई दे रहा है साहब, बहुत अच्छी से आ रही है आपकी आवाज।
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
जी जी।
So shall I turn off the video then?
No, let the introduction happen, and after that,
Okay.
yeah, Shrota, you can begin.
खोल दे पंख मेरे, कहता है परिंदा, अभी और उड़ान बाकी है। जमीन नहीं है मंजिल मेरी, अभी तो पूरा आसमान बाकी है। A very pleasant afternoon to all. Respected Principal Ma'am, eminent judges, learned faculties, starling participants, and dear students. I, Srota Satpathy, feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to everyone present here for the debate competition being organized by Botanical Society NARGIS of Zakir Husain, Delhi College. I, on behalf of Team NARGIS, would like to convey our warm wishes on the auspicious occasion of Basant Panchami.
Today, we are having brilliant students across the colleges who will compete in debate competition and share their views about the topic climate justice, a human right or not, and bring out their hidden aptitude. I would now request Dr. Deepika Sharma, Vice President of NARGIS, to introduce the panel of juries and the teams across the colleges.
Thank you, Khansa. Hello, everyone. On behalf of Team Nargis, I welcome you all to the debate competition on climate justice, a human right. Climate justice is a global problem which requires a global solution. Climate justice, on the other hand, is a concept that addresses the ethical dimensions of climate change. The call for climate justice has gained traction because of increasing realization that although global warming is a global issue, but its effects are not felt evenly throughout the world. In fact, the people or countries who are most affected by climate change are the ones who are least responsible for greenhouse gas emissions and have the fewest resources to adapt to climate change. Climate justice advocates for giving a meaningful voice to these people or countries who have been most impacted by climate change in climate policy negotiations which for too long have been largely dominated by wealthy corporates and countries. Is this lack of equity and impact on livelihoods, health, and deteriorating quality of life an attack on human rights? This is the agenda of debate for our students today. I would now like to introduce and welcome our teams for the debate competition. We have 14 teams who will debate on climate justice, a human right. The participants are from diverse backgrounds like humanities, commerce, science, and law. They represent Acharya Narendra Dev College, Atma Ram Sanatan Dharma College, Daulat Ram College, Institute of Home Economics, Kalindi College, Kamla Nehru College, Lady Irwin College, Lady Shri Ram College, Motilal Nehru College, Shivaji College, Shri Guru Nanak Dev Khalsa College, Vivekananda College, and Zakir Hussain Delhi College from Delhi University, and IMS Law College, Noida. We have a panel of 3 judges who will judge the participants. Professor Radhey Shyam Sharma from Department of Environmental Studies, University of Delhi, who's a well-known environmentalist of international repute. Dr. Reetu Sharma from Ramjas College, University of Delhi. She's an associate professor as an ecologist by specialization. She has a vast experience of teaching ecology at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Dr. Zehidul Hussain from Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun. He's a wildlife biologist working as a senior project associate at WII. On behalf of Team Nargis, I welcome all our esteemed judges to the debate competition. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before proceeding further, I would like to remind the participants about the rules of the competition. Each team will get 8 minutes in total. 3 minutes for each participant to speak for the topic and 2 minutes of interjection for both the participants. The questions for interjection will be asked by the judges and the attendees in the respective order. The attendees can ask the question in the chat box that will be taken up by the moderator. Participants shall pay extra attention before attempting to the question. A warning bell will be given 1 minute prior to the time limit, and a double bell will be given if the participants exceed the time. Negative markings will be done for exceeding the time limits. There will also be prizes for first, second, third, and the consolidation as well as the best speaker of the event. Before starting the for the before proceeding further, I would like to request the jury for their permission. Thank you. Now, I would like to request Shubh Sankhyaadhar and Afsar Ajmeri from Acharya Narendra Dev College. Shubh Sankhyaadhar for the motion, please.
May I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible completely now?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Shiv.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hare Krishna, everyone. Very warm good morning to all the judges and the participants present here. This is Shubh Sanketa, a student of BSc Computer Science Honors, ANDC, Delhi University. Today, we all are gathered here to discuss a very important topic. Should climate change be a human right? Yeah, today I will express my views in the favor of the topic. Climate justice. What the definition states, what the term states. The term that talks about the inequality among the countries on the basis of how much they emit and how much they get affected. One who emits the least suffers the most. So the climate change, so the climate justice is a term that wants to fill the gap of inequality between the countries. I must quote a famous Hindi proverb here, which is "Kare koi, bhare koi," which completely suits the current condition of our world. The developed countries of America, Australia, Europe have only 21% of the world population under their boundaries, but they emit 92% of the carbon of this whole world. How in bad is this? If I take a survey report of 2018, which states that one Nigerian emits 1 ton carbon per year. One Indian emits 2 ton carbon per year. Germany emits 10 ton carbon per year. America emits 19 ton carbon per year. But the question arises, who suffered? As always, the inferior one. The developing and the underdeveloping countries like Nigeria, India. And who get facilitated? Who get more developed? America, Germany. How bad is this? This creates two worlds within the one. The creator of the world and the universe created only one world, but we humans make it into two. One who is enjoying and the other one who is suffering. Climate change does not care for geographical boundaries. I must highlight this. Climate change does not care for geographical boundaries, but the geographical boundaries care for the climate change. 1% rich population do carbon emission 2 times more the 50% poor population. For understanding, I must take an example. If a small insect get thrown in the glass of water, we throw out the whole water, thinking out the whole water is of no use now. In the same way, countries like America get more developed inside their boundaries, but the whole world gets affected. Countries like Maldives, Sri Lanka, having a very small contribution in carbon emission, are but suffers the most, are in the danger of submerging due to the increasing sea level by 250. How dangerous is this? In order to show the world, America like countries do Paris conventions, but my minutes completed.
Yes, your
Yes,
time
it
is
is.
completed.
If
Okay,
you wish,
okay.
we can continue. I'll finish it for first.
Okay. In order to show the world, America-like countries do Paris conventions, but get out of it for 3 years, whenever they want. But the countries like India are strictly following the rule, are restricting their development and suffering the most. This is like chit bhi meri, pat bhi meri. I just want to ask the developed countries why the nature is called mother, because it treats everyone equal, give them equal rights on resources. Then who are they to decide to snatch the rights of the underprivileged ones? By taking human rights of climate justice, they are also snatching the right to life from them. In the last but not the least, I want to ask why democracy is the better form of government. Can anyone answer? Because it is controlled by the people of the country, the citizen of the country. In the same way, if every human has the right of living in clean environment, pollution-free environment, only then we can fill the gap of inequality and reach the goal of climate justice. Thank you.
Afsar Ajmeri against the motion. Afsar, please.
Yes, I'm here. Okay. So good morning everyone. I am Shajmeri, pursuing BSc Botany Honours from Acharya Narendra Dev College, University of Delhi. We'll talk against the motion that climate justice should be a human right. Well, what is climate justice? Climate justice talks about the equality in climate change and contributions and affectors. We know that developing countries are being affected more by climate change, while their contribution in climate change is very less than developed countries. Take example. Burundi is a very less developed country. Its total carbon emission is just equal to the carbon emission of carbon footprint produced by a television in a year if it is on standby. On comparison of that, Australia have 9 million televisions. So, if we talk about climate justice, so to protect the rights of Burundi people, can we can we prevent the Australian people to watching televisions? No, we can't do that. It's not equality. It's not right. Let's take another example. The carbon emission of the whole world is 1/3 of it is controlled by developed countries, Annex 1 countries, while their population is just 21%, and rest 79% are suffering due to them. To secure these 79%, can we prevent the development of those 21% people? No, we can't. Development is also their right. So to secure the right of one people, we can't prevent the right of another people of any other thing like development or any other aspect. In on 17 October 2009, Maldives government organized an underwater cabinet meeting to show that the Maldives is under the danger of being drowned under the sea. So that's why, because America like developing countries are emitting more carbon, and that is encouraging the climate change, and that's why Maldives is on this core. So to save Maldives from drowning into the sea, can we prevent America from making factories and emitting carbon? We can't, because America has also right to develop factories and make more machines and develop their people. What we have to do? We have to prepare a very uh, perfect law for that. We have to prepare that what should one do, what should another do, what should America do, and what should Maldives do. We don't we can't just uh, we can't just blame America or any developed countries just for that. All are equally contributed and all are equally responsible for that. So we should have to lead towards a more safe country, more safe world with all our countries, not only America or not only Maldives. We have to lead towards together, because we are a world, we all are humans. It is the right of all humans, not only Maldives or
It's
not
3
only
minutes.
undeveloped countries. Okay. So I would like to rest my case with the words that we should have to become together rather than making these rules like this is human right and this is not. Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to request the judges to ask the question.
Dr. Ritu, you want to ask?
No, I don't think I want to ask any questions. And since they've exceeded the time, we might as well.
I'll just ask one question if you agree.
Sure.
Yeah, but I agree that they have exceeded their time. Shobh,
Yes, sir.
yeah, so you are for the motion,
Yes, sir.
but I don't agree climate change is real. Where the matter of justice comes?
So can you repeat the question?
See, when the climate change is not real, where the matter of justice comes?
Sir, I must answer your question with a cross question. How can you say that the climate change is not real? What the
Okay.
IPCC
So
report,
can I ask
the international?
Afshar? Yeah, okay. I listen to your answer. So Afshar,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So when you are talking about justice, okay. So and you are saying you are against the motion. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the definition of development in your case? I mean, because you are focusing that every country has a right for development, and at the same time your participant, co-participant says the mother is earth, and we are calling mother earth as a mother. Okay, so then development of one child, another child, I mean, how do you justify it? So
Earth is mother
development of
and
family, or development of family, or development of individual? I mean, what do you think, what is most important?
sir, I am talking about development of family. That's why I said that we
Okay.
should live towards together. So Earth is the mother of all countries. So all countries are getting equal opportunities and equal resources from our mother, that is Earth. But
Okay.
they are being distributed unequally. That is the reason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have Vishalakshi Sharma and Tripti Sharma from Atmaram Sanatan Dharma College. Vishalakshi Sharma, against the motion, please.
Good afternoon, organizers and the judges. I have a little request. I had spoken to the organizing team about this earlier. The thing is, my partner is not able to join because of serious personal issues, and we really don't want to miss this opportunity. If we could be allowed, I will let you know when my partner joins. She will be there before the end of the meeting for sure, and we're not going to delay it further. Could we be please allowed to speak whenever you want to after this, because my partner is not here. She has some serious personal issues at this moment.
Yeah, with the permission of our judges, I think we can allow this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Next.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Now we have Ashi Chauhan and Neha Naz from Daulat Ram College. Ashi Chauhan for the motion, please.
बिफोर आई स्टार्ट, क्या आप लोग मेरे को बता सकते हैं कि जब टाइम ओवर होगा तो आप कैसे बताएंगे कि टाइम ओवर हो गया है फिर से? क्योंकि इससे पहले हमको मतलब समझ में नहीं आया कि जब टाइम ओवर हो रहा है वो कैसे हो रहा है, मतलब 3 मिनट कैसे बताएंगी आप लोग? फिर से बता सकती हैं?
पहले जब 2 मिनट होते हैं देयर विल बी अ बेल, आपको बीप की आवाज आई होगी, देयर इज अ बेल। जब फिर आपके 3 मिनट एक्सीड होने वाले हैं तब आपको बेल आती है वार्निंग कि आपकी 3 मिनट्स एक्सीड हो गए। अगर आप उसे नोटिस नहीं करते तो द टाइमर विल आल्सो इन्फॉर्म यू दैट द टाइम हैज बीन ओवर।
ओके, तो आप 3 2 1 के साथ मेरा समय शुरू कर दीजिएगा, ठीक है? ओके। सदन की गरिमा को मेरा सादर नमन। दिए गए विषय के पक्ष में मैं अपना वक्तव्य प्रस्तुत करती हूँ। सर्वप्रथम, पर्यावरण प्रदूषण समस्त मानव जाति के लिए एक गंभीर खतरा है। इससे मनुष्य के मूल अधिकार का हनन होता है। पर्यावरण प्रदूषण के कारण हो रहे इस अधिकार के हनन को हम सभी को रोकना चाहिए। सर्वप्रथम हम ये समझेंगे कि जलवायु प्रदूषण क्या होता है और जलवायु प्रदूषण को मानवाधिकार क्यों बनाना चाहिए। जब भी हम बात करेंगे जलवायु प्रदूषण की तो हम यह समझेंगे कि यहाँ उपस्थित सभी लोगों के लिए पर्यावरण एक समान है और सभी का पर्यावरण पर बराबर अधिकार है। फिर हम जब बात करेंगे पर्यावरण आंदोलन की तो हम उसकी बात इसलिए करेंगे ताकि कोई भी देश, कोई भी राष्ट्र या कोई भी व्यक्ति विशेष पर्यावरण पर अपना एकाधिकार सिद्ध ना कर सके, क्योंकि पर्यावरण का कोई दुरुपयोग करता है तो इसका प्रभाव सबसे ज्यादा किसी व्यक्ति, किसी देश या किसी राज्य पर पड़ता है। इसके बाद कोई भी चीज जिसका दुनिया में सभी लोगों पर बराबर का अधिकार है या वो चीज जो व्यक्ति के पास उसका हक नहीं है, वो चीज जो दुनिया को बर्बाद कर रही है, पर्यावरण को बर्बाद कर रही है और उस चीज पर किसी का एकाधिकार नहीं है, जो एक मानव अधिकार में आती है और मानव अधिकार के दायरे में इसीलिए आती है क्योंकि मानव का उस पर अधिकार है। और पर्यावरण वही एक चीज है जो सबको एक साथ संबंधित रखती है और अपने ऊपर किसी का एकाधिकार नहीं देती, क्योंकि ये जो व्यवस्था है वो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर है और सभी मानवों को अपने एक दायरे में रखती है और एक वैश्विक स्तर पर है जो सबको अपने साथ जोड़े हुई है। जब हम बात करते हैं भारत की तो हमारे देश का जो संविधान है उसमें दिया गया है डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी, जो कि क्या बताती है कि सभी को क्लीन एनवायरनमेंट मिलना चाहिए, साफ वातावरण मिलना चाहिए। तो गवर्नमेंट जितनी भी पॉलिसी बनाती है वो उस पर आधारित होती है कि सभी को स्वच्छ वातावरण मिल रहा है या नहीं मिल रहा है। जब हम बात करते हैं उन लोगों की जो निचले वर्ग के हैं जो सीधे सीधे वातावरण से जुड़े हुए हैं, तो हम हमेशा क्या पाते हैं कि वो अपने वातावरण को बचाने के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं, जैसे कि भारत में हुए चिपको आंदोलन, नर्मदा आंदोलन आदि। हमें जगह जगह बार बार ये ऐसे उदाहरण मिलते आ रहे हैं जो कि ये सिद्ध करते हैं कि जो गरीब वर्ग के लोग हैं, जो कमजोर वर्ग के लोग हैं, उन पे कैसे जलवायु संकट मंडरा रहा है, क्योंकि वो इतने सामर्थ्य नहीं है कि वो एयर प्योरीफायर से ऐसी कोई चीज प्रयोग कर सके जिससे वो अपने आप को बचा सके। तो आप सभी ने सुना होगा कि हम लोग बात करते हैं ग्लोबल वार्मिंग बढ़ रही है, ग्लेशियर्स पिघल रहे हैं, कि बहुत वायु प्रदूषण हो रहा है, जल प्रदूषण हो रहा है। अब हमें ये समझने की आवश्यकता है कि हम इन सब चीजों से बहुत ऊपर उठ चुके हैं। अब हम कॉन्फ्रेंस बिठाते हैं, स्टॉकहोम समिट, अर्थ समिट, क्योटो प्रोटोकॉल जैसी, और हम सब ये समझ चुके हैं कि अब ये सिविल मूवमेंट बन चुका है, लोग इसके खिलाफ अपनी आवाज उठा रहे हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि अब इसका जो इम्पैक्ट है वो आम आदमी पर पड़ने लगा है, लोगों को इसका प्रभाव पता चलने लगा है, तो इसका जो अधिकार है वो बढ़ाना चाहिए। और जब हम बात करते हैं जलवायु प्रदूषण की, तो ये इसीलिए आवश्यक है क्योंकि जब जो दबे हुए लोग हैं उनको क्लाइमेट जस्टिस पता नहीं चल रहा है। जो बड़े लोग हैं जिनके पास ज्यादा पैसा है, जो वातावरण को बर्बाद कर रहे हैं, यूएस जैसी कंट्री जो कार्बन इमिशन कर रही है, और उनको बचाने के लिए जो गरीब देश हैं वो कैसे तय करेंगे कि उनको ये करना चाहिए। इसीलिए सभी का वातावरण पर अधिकार समान है और इसको एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट बना देना चाहिए ताकि ये यूनिवर्सल क्लाइमेट जस्टिस हो जाए ये, और इससे बात सिद्ध हो जाए कि पर्यावरण सबके लिए है, सबके बराबर है। धन्यवाद।
Try to complete in 5 seconds, okay?
Now, I would like to request Neha Nas against the motion, please. Neha, you are not audible.
Yeah, I'm audible now.
Yeah, yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. नमस्कार। सदन की गरिमा को नमन करते हुए आज के विषय जलवायु न्याय एक मानवाधिकार के पुरजोर विपक्ष में। महोदय, हम एक विकासशील देश के नागरिक हैं और हमें यह समझना चाहिए कि जलवायु न्याय से कहीं ज्यादा जरूरी सामाजिक न्याय है। हमारा विपक्ष आकर कहता है कि जलवायु न्याय को एक मानवाधिकार बना देना चाहिए। महोदय, ये अपने आप में ही सबसे बड़ी अन्याय की बात होगी। या अन्याय होगी उन लोगों के साथ जो विकास की सीढ़ी पे अपना कदम रखे हैं, या अन्याय होगी हमारे जैसे विकासशील देशों के साथ जो पश्चिमी को टक्कर देने के लिए विकसित हो रहे हैं। महोदय, मैं यह कतई नहीं कहती कि हमें अपने जलवायु प्रदूषण को हल्के में लेना चाहिए। मैं मानती हूँ कि हमारे जलवायु प्रदूषण हो रहा है, जलवायु परिवर्तन हो रहा है। इसीलिए मैं कहती हूँ कि हमें अपने प्रदूषण को कम करने पे ध्यान देना चाहिए, ना कि जलवायु न्याय को एक मानवाधिकार बना देना चाहिए। मेरे इस कथन के पीछे का तर्क यह है कि ह्यूमन राइट्स अर्थात मानव अधिकार इस शब्द का सबसे अधिक प्रयोग करने वाले वे विकसित देश ही हैं जो हमारे समाज को, जो हमारे पर्यावरण का अत्यधिक मात्रा में उपयोग, यूं कहें तो दुरुपयोग कर चुके हैं और आज सबसे ज्यादा कार्बन एमिशन कर रहे हैं। महोदय, वो तो चाहेंगे कि हमारा जो देश है, हमारा जो विश्व है, जो विकासशील देश है, वो कभी विकसित ही ना हो। इसीलिए वो जलवायु न्याय की चीजें ला रहे हैं हमारे विश्व में, ताकि जलवायु न्याय हो और एक विकासशील देश जो है वो विकासशील ही रहे, विकसित ना हो सके। अतः महोदय, मैं इसके साथ और अपनी बातें आगे बढ़ाना चाहूंगी। जिस प्रकार हमारी विपक्षी नेता आकर कहती है कि पर्यावरण सभी लोगों के लिए है, सभी लोगों का बराबर का अधिकार है। जी महोदय, मैं मानती हूँ कि इस सभी लोगों का बराबर अधिकार है, पर क्या आप मानती है कि सभी लोग बराबर नहीं है? एक जगह जहां यूरोप में लोग एसी के नीचे बैठे हुए हैं और दूसरी ओर कड़कती धूप में नंगी बदन वाला व्यक्ति है, तो जब हम ह्यूमन राइट्स की बात करते हैं तो हमें यह ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि लोगों में इक्वालिटी हो। तो जब इक्वालिटी ही नहीं होगा तो हम ह्यूमन राइट्स की बात कैसे करेंगे? तो सर्वप्रथम हमें इस इनइक्वालिटी को कम करनी चाहिए, इस व्यवस्था में सुधार लानी चाहिए, तभी सभी लोगों को जलवायु न्याय का उसके बाद हमें यह सोचना चाहिए कि हम किस प्रकार काम कर सकते हैं। अतः मैं महोदय, मैं आगे अपनी बातों को बोलना चाहूंगी कि वे आगे कहती है हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी है। जी महोदय, मैं मानती हूँ कि हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी जैसी व्यवस्था है। अतः बस अंत में मैं बस यही कहना चाहूंगी कि जलवायु न्याय के आड़ पे अन्य अन्याय नहीं होना चाहिए। धन्यवाद। मेरे 3 मिनट खत्म हो गए थे क्या?
नहीं, वो 2
You
मिनट।
have 20 seconds more.
कंटिन्यू। 2
बेटा
मिनट।
20
अतः
सेकंड है।
महोदय, अगर
This bell is for 2 minutes. The next bell will be on 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was a 2-minute bell. You can continue. Yeah.
Okay. अतः महोदय हमें अपने पर्यावरण को हनन को हमें बचाना चाहिए और अपने पर्यावरण प्रदूषण को हम अनेक प्रकार से कम कर सकते हैं। हम यह कर सकते हैं कि जो विकसित देश है उन्हें विकासशील देशों की मदद करना चाहिए, विकसित देश को ही कम करना चाहिए ताकि वो कार्बन एमिशन को कम करे, और विकासशील देश अपने पद पे काम करे ताकि वो जब एक विकसित हो जाए तब जाकर के हमारे पर्यावरण को, हमारे समाज को न्यायपूर्ण मिल जाएगा, न्यायपूर्ण हमारा समाज जो है वो न्यायपूर्ण हो जाएगा। अतः महोदय हमें यह ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि अगर हम जलवायु न्याय को एक मानवाधिकार बना देंगे तो यह जलवायु न्याय के आड़ में अन्य बहुत सारे अन्याय होंगे। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Neha. Now I would like to request the judges for question.
Should I ask?
Yes, please go ahead. I will not be asking any questions.
Okay. So I'll just ask one question. नेहा, ये जो विकास और न्याय ये कैसे एक दूसरे से जुड़े हुए हैं, जरा मुझे समझाएंगे आप?
जी महोदय, मैं आपको बताती हूँ, क्योंकि विकास जब हम कर रहे हैं तो हमें यह ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि हमारे समग्र जितने भी लोग हैं सबके साथ न्याय होना चाहिए, और ये इस प्रकार
तो
जुड़े हैं कि जब हमारा
आप अगेंस्ट में बोल रहे हैं, फॉर में बोल रहे हैं?
अगेंस्ट में।
अच्छा, ठीक है, प्लीज गो अहेड।
महोदय, जब अगर हम अपने देश को विकसित करेंगे, क्योंकि एक और विकसित देश है जो वो चाहता है कि हमारा जो विकासशील देश है वो कभी विकसित हो ही ना, वो अपना दबदबा बनाए रखे। तो जब वो दबदबा बनाएंगे तो ये अन्य लोगों के साथ न्याय बिल्कुल नहीं होगा।
ओके, जो एक आशी।
यस सर।
हाँ बेटा, मुझे समझ नहीं आया कि ये जो जलवायु परिवर्तन है ना, ये तो कोई पोल्यूशन से लिंक्ड है ही नहीं मेरे ख्याल से। तो आपको क्या लगता है?
सर
आपने सारा ही जो है डिबेट
देखिए, जलवायु
नहीं, जो भी देना है बस 15 सेकंड में जवाब दीजिएगा, क्योंकि बड़ा लंबा लेक्चर दोबारा हो जाएगा शुरू।
महोदय, सर्वप्रथम हमें यह समझना होगा कि क्लाइमेट जस्टिस को ही कर रहे हैं, तो हम बात कर रहे हैं उन सभी पॉल्यूशंस को मिला के क्लाइमेट को प्रभावित कर रहे हैं। इसीलिए मेरा तात्पर्य यह था कि जहाँ कहीं भी मैंने जलवायु का प्रयोग किया है वहां पर मैंने इसको दर्शाया।
ठीक है, थैंक यू।
Now, we would like to have our next participants, Shiza Fatima and Oshin Chauhan from Institute of Home Economics. Shiza Fatima, for the motion, please.
Sorry to interrupt, Asna. There's a question from one of the participant also for their team.
Yes, ma'am. Before we proceed for the next team, would you like to address this question by the participants? It was for Ashi and Neha.
It should be brief. Brief question, okay. Brief answer.
Okay. Ashi and Neha, so here's the question. Neha. Okay, Neha, it was for you. How everyone get equal if everyone doesn't have equal resources, which can be possible only when climate justice or a human right is there?
आपके प्रश्न के लिए धन्यवाद, लेकिन मैं एक हिंदी वक्ता हूँ, तो कृपया करके आप अगर प्रश्न हिंदी में पूछेंगे तो मैं उसका उत्तर देना चाहूंगी।
Shuf, if you can ask your question, that would be appreciated.
Okay. हाँ, एक्चुअली मेरा प्रश्न ये था आपसे कि आपने ये कहा था कि हमें क्लाइमेट जस्टिस एक ह्यूमन राइट तब तक नहीं, सबको ये राइट नहीं देना चाहिए जब तक कि सब इक्वल नहीं हो जाते। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे ये है कि हम सबको इक्वल कैसे कर सकते हैं, हम सबको समान कैसे कर सकते हैं जब तक सबके पास सेम रिसोर्सेज, इक्वल रिसोर्सेज नहीं होंगे। और इक्वल रिसोर्सेज सबको देने के लिए हमें सबको ये अधिकार देना पड़ेगा कि उनके पास उनका पूरा अधिकार है हर रिसोर्सेज पर।
जी महोदय, मैं आपका प्रश्न समझ गई। मैं इसका उत्तर देना चाहूंगी, क्योंकि हमें पता है कि हमारा जो विश्व है वो दो भागों में बटा हुआ, विकसित देश और विकासशील देश। तो अगर विकसित देश अगर विकासशील देश की सहायता करे, उसके टेक्नोलॉजी गेन करने में अगर उसकी मदद करे, और उसी प्रकार जो विकसित देश है वो अपने कार्बन एमिशन को कम करते और इनकी सहायता करे, तो इस प्रकार दो फायदे होंगे। एक प्रकार हमारा जो विकासशील देश है वो विकसित बनेगा, और धीरे धीरे जो विकसित देश जो बहुत अत्यधिक मात्रा में प्रदूषण कर रहे हैं वो धीरे धीरे कम भी होगा।
लेकिन
तो
अमेरिका जैसे देश तो ये लेकिन अमेरिका जैसे देश तो ये चाह ही नहीं
No,
रहे हैं,
no
तभी वो
counter
पेरिस
question,
कन्वेंशन
please.
से बाहर निकल जाते हैं।
Shubh, don't counter. Shubh, don't counter. Please, we don't have enough time for that.
No, not only time, cross questioning is not, permitted. So
Thank
you
you,
have
sir.
asked, she has answered. So we are here to judge. Okay.
Thank you,
Sorry,
sir.
sir.
So before moving forward to the next team, I would again like to remind the participants about the timing. There will be a warning bell for once at 2 minutes and a continuous ring when you exceed your time or when it's 3 minutes. Each participant will get 3 minutes to speak on their topic, and there will be a 2-minute interjection for both the participants. I think that's clear, and Asna, you can move forward.
Now we have Shiza Fatima and Oshin Chauhan from Institute of Home Economics. I would like to call upon Shiza Fatima for the motion, please.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. This house believes that climatic justice is a human right, and I'm going to speak for the motion. So here I present my first argument, that considering climatic justice is a human right is a crucial step, as human right expresses the entitlement of all the people to be treated equally. But climatic changes adversely affect the underprivileged and the premature section of the society. According to WHO, 150,000 deaths have been reported annually due to climatic changes, but most of them are of underprivileged people and premature deaths. This leads me to my second argument. It provides an immensely great opportunity to the people to hold the corporations and government accountable for the suffering of the people. As in Colombia, a team of 25 people fought against the government as they were not tackling the climatic change very efficiently. And surprisingly, in 2018 April, they won the case. And first time in the history, the prevention and conservation of Amazon was considered under rights. Leading on to the third argument. Considering climatic justice as a human right will enhance our ways to fight against climatic change and will going to give us great implementation. As recently it is considered in India also by a President Ramnath Kovind in the recent meeting which was held on December 10th, 2021. And under this consideration, a great response in the solar alliances. Leading on to my fourth argument. Climatic justice is providing an opportunity for the people to fight against big industries and big polluters with the help of court and law. And it is providing them enough pressure so that they can forget their old story, that how we will going to survive, how we will going to live, and so that they can recognize the demand of the people in order to cut down or at least reduces the amount of greenhouse gases they have been emitting. So in the end, I would just like to conclude that the enjoyment of human right will directly or indirectly will going to affect the enjoyment of human rights will directly or indirectly will be affected by the climatic changes. For example, the sea level rises, the temperature increase, the weather event is affecting the day-to-day life of the people. It is affecting the right of health, the right of food, the right of life. So in the end, I will just conclude that I hope that my arguments motivated you all. Thank you so much.
Oshin Chauhan against the motion, please.
Greetings to the House. My name is Ocean. This House believes that climate justice should be considered as a human right. I stand against the motion and would like to present my arguments accordingly. Speaking of climate justice as a human right moves the attention and focus from a very important matter to its underlying ethical dimensions. The effects of climate change are not only very damaging but also irreversible, and it calls for an immediate action. We cannot afford a distraction or a deflection of this kind at this point of time. I would like to bring the attention of the House to a very important clarification. Through my words, I am not trying to underestimate the importance of human rights. However, speaking of climate justice as a human right is dumbing down of a very important matter that cannot be compromised with. Human rights are rights such as equality, freedom, justice that ideally should be guaranteed to all. However, a face-off with reality would make one realize that we're constantly heading towards the wrong direction. Human rights for all are only found, unfortunately, in speeches made by opinion leaders, in messages meant to deceive people, in a utopian world, or on paper. In such circumstances, the fear of climate justice too becoming another definition that's only limited to answer sheets on papers has a higher chance of coming true. Furthermore, practically, human rights cannot be legally enforced. The ultimate decision lies with the governments of the nations, which not only have contradicting views, but also use these to the best of their own interests. In 2017, out of 195 countries all across the world, only 15 could manage to score more than 3 out of 6 on human rights protection scores. These scores indicate the degree to which the government of a nation protects and respects the rights of its citizens. This sort of negligence and involuntary participation cannot be afforded when it comes to a delicate matter like climate justice. We need norms that would be applicable to all and will force participation by all so that together we can move towards a better world, keeping in mind specifically the place and the situation of the underprivileged. Because not only are they worst affected by the effects of climate change, but they're also the last ones to receive aid. We're unfortunately living in a world where not everybody has had the privilege to enjoy the most rudimentary of human rights. Thus, I speak of the view that human rights form the very foundation of climate justice, and it seeks the fulfillment of the same in the light of climate change. However, they deserve, rather need more attention, so that need more attention than norms that are just celebrated on paper, so that together we could create a better world for ourselves. Thank you.
Now, I request our judges to please ask the questions.
Dr. Zehidul, please.
There are already questions in the chat box. Can you please ask them?
You're not audible.
जेदुल साहब आपकी वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही थी, प्लीज आप दोबारा बोलेंगे.
Sir, there are already some questions raised in the chat box. I would like to know more interactive with the other people, with the participants, rather than me.
He says there are a couple of questions in the chat, so you may ask those questions.
Yes, now we move to the attendees. First question is, who will you make liable if the right is violated, and how you are going to do that? Question for the motion.
If the rights are violated, then we have courts and law to us that will going to look after it, and they will, and the people who violate the right will be responsible for violating the right, and we can have certain punishments to it, like we can have fines, and so that people will be so that they will be responsible for what problems they create in the environment.
Then why climate human right can't be imposed legally of it is violating right to life of people or Article 14A of Indian Constitution? Question for against.
I think there has been some sort of miscommunication. What I was trying to state, it's very true that in India we have laws that enforce human rights because India is a democratic country. But when we speak of climate justice, we're taking the world as a whole, and not every country across the world is democracy. Not every country agrees to human rights. The problem is in the agreement and the proper implementation. So we're speaking of the entire world as a whole here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And before going to the next participants, I would also like to add that questions should be asked in a brief manner, and the answers by the participants also should be brief. Don't discuss the question or don't cross question. Thank you. Now we have Nishant and Himanshi Taneja from LMS Law College, Noida. Himanshi Taneja for the motion, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, Himanshi, you are.
Climate change is about something deeper than justice.
It's about solidarity, human solidarity. Mr. President, honorable members of the jury, ladies, gentlemen, and the August gathering. My name is Himanshi Taneja from IMS Law College. I'll be presenting my views on the topic climate justice, a human right, for the motion. What climate responsibilities do current generation hold for the future generation? About their right to food, safe water, health, education, and shelter. Let's put education and shelter aside for a minute because our generation is so educated that they know the importance of education, shelter. But alas, human rights and something good food and shelter, they don't know about this. The relationship between human rights and climate change is twofold. Both have their own importance. Do you guys even know which countries are historically responsible for the climate change? According to the data of carbonbrief.com, I repeat, according to the data of carbonbrief.com, in first place on the ranking, the US has released more than 509 GT of CO2 since 1850. I still repeat, since 1850. It's around 20% globally. Can you guys believe 20% globally? China relatively second with its 11%, followed by Russia 7%, Brazil 5%, and Indonesia 4%. I repeat, Indonesia 4%. Unequal emission is one big reason why climate change are shouting about justice. I don't understand why people still believe climate change doesn't affect global warming. It is causing the Earth's average surface temperature to increase. This is not only making heat waves and droughts, but also causing changes to our natural climatic system. Our natural climatic system, it's a big deal. We believe every problem has their solutions. As Article 28 says, everyone is entitled to social and international order in which the rights and freedom said this is declaration can be fully released. As our country said, by 2030, we have already discussed the problems, but it's time for the solutions, not for the complaints. As our country said, by 2030, India will reduce its total projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons. Can you believe 1 billion tons? India will reduce the carbon intensity of its economy by 2070 of net zero 2070. It's a long term goal, but yeah, it is possible. I would like, at last, I would like to say that we should take some initiatives like zero emission transportation, removing toxic chemicals from our life, 100% clean energy grid. I rest my case. Thank you.
Nishant, for against the motion, please.
Right. Before I start, please give me a check on my audio and my video.
Yeah, it's clear.
Right. To the OC members, I would like to say that after I please ring the bell on the 3rd minute. I hope if that's fine. Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. So 3, 2, 1, go. How about I say that I would take all your food, your shelter that you live in, and the phones that you have in your hands? Well, can I? You have the right to live, you have the right to shelter, and you also have the right to food. But since you also have the right to climate justice, how will that be contradicted? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nishant, and I stand in front of you all to speak against the motion climate justice as a human right. Now, you see, when I talk about all this, and when climate justice is still not made a human right, let me tell you, if it would, how will it contradict the rights that we have right now? When I talk about shelter, the right to shelter, your homes are made out of concrete, and 8% of the CO2 emissions during an year are made out of from the concrete manufacturing countries. When I talk about right to food, let me tell you that around the production of rice is the emission of methane is equivalent to that of the aviator sector in a year. 40% of the habitable land is being used in food production like meat and cereals. Isn't this about, I'd say, surprising when we say that the phones that you have in hand right now, the gadgets that you're using, have also exhausted the minerals as well as the virgin materials. You see, it is quite easy when we say that we need rights like this. But ask yourselves, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to settle for less? Are you guys ready to see other countries growing when you say that we would have a put because we need to look at the climate? Well, I guess practically no. We need to see that these things are good to hear, but practically, if you apply them, it is not. When we talk about human nature that is out of greed, you want, we asked for it. We need to remember that we asked for all these kinds of development, but little bit did we know that it came out with a cost. In the end, I would just like to say that if we are the ones who are violating the laws, then are you guys ready to make such laws that you violate them yourselves? Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Now I would like to request the jury for questions.
I have a question for the motion.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me? Yeah. You talked about emissions and in a broad term, you talked about climate change. But can you define me what are the factors that will, change or might influence the climate change and that affects the different classes of people around the world? The climate change is a broad term, but what are the factors leading for climate change? Did you get my question, Himanshu?
Sorry, but your voice was not audible to me.
Okay. Right now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
You talked about broadly about climate change, but what are the
Yeah.
factors that is leading for a climate change? Just broadly, you can
You know, the
explain.
chemical factories which are built around the world, that are the main cause of global warming. That is increasing global warming day by day. It's about 2 degrees Celsius from 2011 to 2019 that has been increased. This is the climate change.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Shrota, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. I was saying that is there any question for against the motion?
No, I don't have.
Thank you, sir. So we move to the audience. We have a question for the motion, like Himanshi. So the question is, if we can't speak, then who can we achieve climate justice? Sorry, if we can't speak, how can we achieve climate justice? Himanshi, was that clear to you?
Himanshi, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry, but can you please repeat the question?
The question was, if we can't speak, then how can we achieve the climate justice?
See, if it's not about the one person who can change the world, it's the world we can change, right? So if we are together in this, we can change it.
Thank you. Nishant, there's a question for you too.
Right. Please, could you spell it? Speak it out.
Yeah, if we are greedy, then don't you think that climate justice is required?
If we think we are greedy, don't we think climate justice is required? Well, of course, when you talk about greediness and you talk about being more developed, ask yourselves that if you guys are ready to go back to the days that we had houses made out of mud, we didn't have resources like this, we didn't have cars like this. Like, yes, it can be done, but it is at what stake, until what limit can we practically use it? I believe if you're satisfied with the answer.
Thank you.
Right.
Now I would like to invite Himadri Mandal and Vani Menon from Kalindi College. Vani Menon for the motion, please. You are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Am I now audible?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon to one and all present over here. I am Vani Menon, a botany honors student from Kalindi College, and I would be speaking favoring the motion. Friday for Future movement inspired by 16-year-old Swedish student, a climate activist named Greta Thunberg, saw participation from youth, school students, college students from more than 123 countries around the world. The basic demand being that governments should reduce carbon emission before it's too late. This has renewed the debate of development versus environmental protection and the need for climate justice. I would like to tell you that why we need climate justice in the present times. First of all, measures taken for development largely have negative impacts on the environment. Climate change negatively impacts rainfall patterns, increases food security risk in vulnerable countries, cities sinking due to rising sea levels, and etc. IPCC reports have given strict warning about the devastating impacts of rising global temperature beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. Second, developing countries particularly lack funds for investment for implementing climate change action. Funds generated through Clean Development Mechanism (CDM) are inadequate to handle the current crisis. Climate justice thus provides for the possibilities to prioritize investment around the vulnerabilities of the communities and worst affected by climate change. Third, oil-based companies and big industries in fossil fuel-based business pressurizes government not to take decisions for quick transition to renewable-based solution. Climate justice shifts the debate to the perspective of the suffering communities in the policy framing. Fourth, with USA coming out of Paris deal and Canadian Parliament refusing increased investment in climate change action shows the neglect of developed nations and their refusal to accept their historical responsibilities. Climate justice focuses on inequitable nature of impact of climate change and brings into the picture accountability for action done by some countries over the other. To sum up everything that has been stated so far by me, climate justice demands to look beyond the environmental and ecological consequences of climate change and take strong political action to secure the future generation. It humanizes the effect of climate change and insists on a shift from a discourse on greenhouse gases and melting ice caps into a civil rights movement with the people and communities most vulnerable to climate impact at its heart. There is an urgent need for civil society groups to put pressure on government to take the path of sustainable development and make climate action a top priority. Lastly, I would like to say that we have one single mission to protect and hand on the planet Earth to next generation, and we shall do it rightly. Thank you.
Now, Himadri Mandal against the motion, please. You are not audible.
मेरे माइक को जो है ना जहाँ क्रॉस लगा उसको क्लिक कर दो आप. बोलोगे तो शायद आवाज आती है. एक बार बोलो भी.
We can't hear you.
आपने अगर ईयर प्लग लगाए हैं तो हटा दो.
No, you are not audible.
I think if you're using a laptop, just go to the options and the mic option. You have to change that. If you're using the phone, then kindly unplug your earphone. Otherwise, you can choose from the triple dot.
आप दूसरे डिवाइस से ज्वाइन कर लीजिए. आई थिंक मीनवाइल वी कैन मूव टू द नेक्स्ट. आई मीन व्हाटएवर द होस्ट सजेस्ट.
No, absolutely. We'll move to the next and until she tries to see her mic is working.
Okay, now we have Aditya Srivastava and Sanjeevni Shandilya. Aditya Srivastava for the motion. Aditya, please. Aditya Srivastava. I think we don't have Aditya Srivastava and Sanjeevni Shandilya here. So,
Ma'am, sorry, I am here. We are here. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I am for the motion. And first, I'll introduce myself and then I'll give a countdown and then you might start the timer. So, I'm Aditya Srivastava. I am a student of BA Honors Political Science first year from Kamala Nehru College, Delhi University. And today I'm going to present my views for the motion that is climate justice, a human right. So, I'll be beginning in 3, 2, and 1. Well, to begin with, today we are in the 21st century and it can be said that we are in the age of development, or rather to say that we are at the peak of development won't be wrong. But of more significance here is the fact that at what cost are we achieving this development? Climate change is one ultimate answer. But what is climate change in the first place? Well, climate change at large refers to all the unnatural changes taking place in the climate due to the harmful and threatening human activities, including issues such as global warming, rise in sea levels, increase in the levels of greenhouse gases, to name a few. Now, the matter here is, why is it problematic? Well, it is affecting the lives of the same people who are causing it to happen in the first place just for the sake of development, or I might even call it a false view of development, a development which is not inclusive, a development which is not sustainable, not just for the future generations, but for the present generations as well. And the harms caused by it have reached an extent where it has begun threatening the human rights of the people. The rights which are entitled to each and every individual, irrespective of any factor, just by the virtue of being humans, and hence the name human rights. The climate change issue has been an alarming crisis on the international level, but it's high time now that we consider climate justice, which means all the equal and fair means to ensure solutions for the crisis, not only in the developed nations but across the globe. And this is exactly why making climate justice is the need of the hour. The human rights being affected negatively by climate change include the right to life, the right to food, water, and sanitation, right to have a healthy, decent life, among other rights. The right to life is being badly infringed by the floods, droughts, waterborne and airborne diseases, wildfires, and other catastrophes of this climate crisis. The right of food is being violated due to soil erosion caused by the rise in sea levels, especially in the coastal regions. Apart from the violation of these human rights, another important point which is significant to be noted is the situation of the vulnerable and marginalized groups of the society. These are the poor, downtrodden people who do not have access to any resources to deal with the climate crisis. These include the fishermen communities and agriculturalists whose life and livelihood is being affected by rise in sea levels and high rainfalls, respectively. Also, the term climate change refugees has come into existence, which clearly points to the fact about the issues being faced by the people who are already being affected and rehabilitated to other places due to this threatening crisis. Thus, keeping into view all these issues, it clearly becomes necessity to make climate justice a human right, because if we want to lead a more prosperous as well, then it is mandate to make it a human right, because that's only the way we can ensure a equal quality life for everyone. Thank you so much.
Sanjeevni Shandilya against the motion, please.
Yes. Firstly, I'll be starting with introduction and then I'll provide a countdown for the timer. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sanjeevni Shandilya and I'm from Kamala Nehru College. I'll be speaking against the motion. My preferred pronouns would be she or her. Okay. I'd be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So after listening to so many speeches, now we do understand what climate justice actually is. So panelists, here I hold the burden to prove why climate justice should not be a human right. Firstly, our generation has been all about practicality and logics. And we know that when or if we add climate justice to human rights, we are giving an organization a place where they have to control the circumstances, whereas climate is nature. And can nature be controlled? I fail to understand why are there even doubts about it. I'll frame my speech by speaking about valid reasons and shouldn't be made a human right, and if done, how will it affect the society? Firstly, it is not controllable. Climate changes cannot be always controlled unless the causes behind it is due to human made, such as global warming, which can be controlled by promoting afforestation, right? But can a storm caused due to natural imbalances be stopped? No. There is less probability of that. So providing it as a human right would mean to have access to stop it, which would need various plans, models, resources, and research, which always cannot be applicable practically. Secondly, it threatens other rights. Climate justice would not just be limited to promoting greenery, but it would threaten life of people by threatening other rights, such as right to food, because raising animals for food contributes to land and water degradation, biodiversity loss, acid rain, deforestation. And so many countries who majorly depend on meat for their dietary requirements, aren't we violating their right? Climate justice will lay profound impacts on a wide variety of human rights, including the right to life, self-determination, development, food, health, water, and sanitation and housing. Are we ready to neglect all the rights we enjoy to justify climate? Thirdly, most developing and underdeveloped countries cannot afford this. Every country comes under P5 and are developed enough to afford the climate justice requirements in the first place. Some countries such as Africa, Madagascar, South Sudan, they barely have their economy for the maintenance of basic needs of people. By asserting this right, aren't we forcing these countries to do and take part in something which would not help them, but deteriorate them further? A person not having money to pay electricity about global warming, or a person not having something to eat won't worry about environmental degradation. A right is something which helps everybody, but this right is not for everybody in the first place. Fourthly, consent of all unions will not be there to form this a human right. So countries who have the power and resources to contribute come in forums and talk about issues such as Paris Climate Agreement, Kyoto Protocol. But when these countries contribute to air pollution and water pollution due to industrialization, then they expect the still developing countries to take stand and contribute. Is it fair at their part? If powerful countries like USA, France, UK cannot mandate certain norms and stop from violation, can we expect miracles from other sections of the world? We need to understand if we stand and support climate justice being a human right, it will violate our freedom of rights, our standard of living, minimal utilization of natural resources, which are actually needed by people facing poverty and pandemic crisis. Anybody can come and speak humble words on how climate is important. We should protect it, and indeed we should. I don't stand against it, but protection in a manner is only possible by the world when it is pocket friendly for not exploiting resources instead of creating a human right and enforcing among all. We should put personal contribution for climate justice. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now request the jury for questions. We have a question for against the motion. Can't we develop sustainability as it was in Vedic period without harming even a small leaf in the nature?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Can't we develop sustainability as it was in the Vedic period without harming even a small leaf in the nature?
Now we need to understand we are not in the Vedic period anymore. It is, this 21st century. There are various differences like it used to be in the Vedic period. Not many people used to have meat. Not many people have to have houses made of concrete. There were people made making houses out of mud or natural resources. But at this time, we have houses of cement, which is again affecting climate justice in the first place. So no, sustainability cannot be there in this current time. And hence, we should try to sustain it in a manner which is pocket friendly for us as well and not go against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, in the next team, we have Shambhavi and Sakshi Hasija.
Hello, organizers.
Yes.
Am I audible now? I
Yes,
wasn't.
Himadri, you are.
Can I speak now?
Ma'am, can we take Himanshi again? It was a slot. Himadri Mandal.
Yeah, if the judges permit, we can take her now.
I think it is okay if she, I mean, that team completes the job.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Please.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Himadri Mandal from Kalindi College, and today I will be speaking against the motion that is, climate justice should not be a human right. As my opponents have already mentioned the different aspects of climate change, I would directly come straight to the point. Turning climate change into a movement because it will require a justice system is a big no-no. Why is it so? It's not starting from America, first of all, like the way it did in 1954. This is not a racial issue. Climate change is affecting everyone, but climate justice isn't the one which everyone will be getting. Every movement right now, be it Me Too movement, be it LGBTQ+, or be it Black Lives Matter, are relating to a particular section of the society for their equal status. But what happened to Black Lives Matter? The Universalist Unitarians came up with another term, Every Life Matter. What did it do? It just outlined what was important at that particular movement. It snatches the voice that matters at that point. This is somewhat happening to climate change and climate justice. It is being diverted only for internal purpose and politicization of each and everything. So, India has already a small carbon footprint, that is 2 tons. So, when Raghuram Rajan said that those who pollute above average should pay more and those who are below should receive, there was a hurricane in the industrialized countries. So, failure of climate justice arises when collective goal isn't achieved. So, if not taking actions means bad outcomes, then limiting one's emissions while others don't would be even worse off. Let me take you to an example. For example, India, that when everybody was calling for CFC replacement, India had to comply when it was not wanting to do so. But it had to comply to the Western countries because its market would definitely shrink along with them. So, what is the guarantee that if climate justice comes up, then underdeveloped countries would not have to compromise? So, who are the ones who will assess the climate change? So, if we had a better system of negotiation, then the West would have come up and said, here is my technology, here is an alternative for the coal that you
Your
find
time is
affordable.
up.
But but they take it as a loan and not as a grant. So, at last, I would like to say that we should be afraid for the rather than being afraid for the nature, we should be afraid of the nature. Thank you.
Now I request juries for the questions for this team. Vani Menon is the counterpart. Yes, we have a question from attendees. Don't you think that America, like countries, should absorb their mistakes?
Asna, please unmute yourself.
The question is, don't you think that America, like countries, should absorb their mistakes?
And help poor countries.
It is a question for the motion.
Shubh Shankar Yadav, please mention. Against the motion.
Okay, could you please repeat it?
Don't you think that America-like countries should absorb their mistakes and help poor countries? Because they're not doing so.
But do you think that saying this would make them comply for that? That somebody in the underdeveloped nation has said that you had to comply, and Americans would agree to it? No, they won't. So I don't think so. They will accept it, and even in the justice system, it won't help because the Western countries would be as a dictator, and we should think in a broader view. So that will be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So in the next team, we have Shambhavi and Sakshi Hasija.
Am I
Shambhavi,
audible?
for the motion, please.
Am I audible?
Yes.
You're audible.
Hello?
Yes, you are audible. Please.
Okay, and I'm visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. Before I start, I want to ask for this permission. Can you please just ring the bell when 3 minutes gets completed? Hello?
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay. So I'm going to start, okay? So until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Mr. Martin Luther King Jr. The grievous condition of climate change is inhesitantly moving towards the future apocalypse. The heat waves are getting hotter, causing more and more wildfires than ever before. Even the iceberg in Antarctica, of the size of as large as half of the Puerto Rico, it is being dissociated. So basically, if I keep on citing these examples, this may just forwardly go on and on. But this is not the topic of our discourse today. It is climatic justice, a human right. So why should climatic justice be a human right? So basically, human rights are of two types. They can either be Lockeanian or contemporary. So according to my comprehension, I believe that climatic justice is a Lockeanian natural right. Yes, a natural right, because it is a right to life. In Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, it talks about the protection of this very right, the right of life. But this right is being threatened by this climate change. Some of you may argue that why are we even asking for this right? This is such a hypocrisy. Because we are ourselves responsible for this climatic change. Then we should never be granted this right. But rights don't work that way. Rights are universal. And not just that, the whole concept of rights is that they are claim rights that impose responsibilities and duties to its duty bearers and addressees. So who are these duty bearers and addressees? According to me, in countries like India, it should be the industrial sector. Because in India, 51% of the solution is caused through industries. Once we make this right as a public right, then these industries are coerced into installation of alternatives, of better devices and better equipments for pollution control. A Delhi-based Chakra innovation curbs air pollution with the world's first retrofit emission control device for diesel generators. Such devices should be pre-installed by the manufacturer before the dispatch. Government should also make industries of different sectors to collaborate with one another for a better waste management. But these things can only be possible if there is a law, if it is a right. A Mumbai-based startup by Tejas Sidnal is crafting tiles with carbon emitted by factories. So people are interfering, and these initiatives should not be thwarted for mere ignorance. So before coming to the conclusion, I would like to state out this point that some of you may argue that there already exists law. But what you don't understand is that these laws are manipulated. Environmental lawyer Ritvik Datta said that the biggest problem with ELMA was that it was the complete violation of the precautionary principle. The act wanted to bring in management and supplementary plans to regulate violation itself. And some of you may say that this is not a rational thing, that making rights is not a solution. But according to me, rationality means something else. Because even in the social reforms that has taken place in India or will ever take place in India, the entire concept was of individualism, rationalism, and universalism. And these ideas are nothing but the inherent of the rights. So we also have positive examples like a European Court of Human Rights, right?
So in end, I would like to conclude by saying that I am threatened, my future is threatened, I need this right more than ever. And you should know that a right delayed is a right denied. Thank you very much.
Sakshi Hasija against the motion, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, without wasting time in introduction, very warm greetings to all judges and other participants. I'm in the against of motion. So, being a girl from Haryana and a smart one, I had to learn about human rights pretty early in my life. Men are born ignorant but not stupid. You are the one which wants right but not the duties. Going by the dictionary definition, human right is a right that is believed to belong justifiably to every person. Note the word justifiably here, something we can't ignore. Considering just our country alone, 60% of India's population, or an estimated 812 million people, live below the poverty line. They can only depend on fuels like wood or coal or, say, cow dung cakes to cook or even keep themselves warm in winter. Even though it results in more pollution, they have no other choice because they can't afford a gas service or pay high electricity bills. So one cannot impose those old duties to conserve and protect climate in the name of rights because all people are not equal. It is so clear that conserving the climate is our duty, not the moral duty, but the obligate duty. And there's a lots of difference between duty and rights. Climate justice is a fulfillment of human rights, but it can't be the human right. Why government are always accountable? Government and law has the duty to protect our human rights, which are privileged to us by birth. For example, good education, security, development, etc. But would anybody like to explain me that? Who gives you the privilege or say the good right on this nature, on this climate, on these resources? We are no one to ask for a good climate or say some laws that will provide us the good climate because we have to earn it. We have to, we have to work on it. Even at the smallest level, climate just is a thing you should get at your birth as a birthday gift because we are the one who is the product or say gift of nature. Now, can you please pay attention? There's a thing, climate justice. Make it a privilege for everyone, no matter rich or vulnerable. Make it a right for everyone. Then make some laws to protect it. Now, can we directly protect our climate? Can't we simply give justification to our climate? Yes, the government is accountable for climate justice, but isn't it our fault also? Aren't we accountable for it? The main thing is that we are the human who are the exploitator of this nature. We are the responsible for the injustice with the climate, and also we are the one here to ask for the rights. Now, let me conclude it. Just give me a few seconds. If I over exceed, I request jury. If I over exceed it, let me conclude it. Can I conclude? Okay. So all the government bodies is indulges in many other things which can relate it to conserving our climate. The current environment laws and policies in India include the Forest Conservation Act 1980, the Environment and Protection Act 1986, the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1981. All these laws, all these schemes, movements are there to protect our climate. So what's the specific need to create this right? In last, I want to conclude, we have to stop fencing around to skip the major decision on this. Instead, we should start from scratch and a better way to attack directly on the roots. And a major thing we can change in our source, that is the sources of energy. We can change our sources of energy that will create a deep and a good and a major impact on our climate. Thank you. And sorry if I exceed the time limits.
Thank you. Now I request juries to please question. Okay, now we move to the audience. We have questions like how can you say that laws are manipulated? Because every right is connected to the laws form against it. So do you support that rights are also manipulative? Question
No.
for the motion.
See, okay. So I didn't say that laws are manipulative. I said that the ELMA, the law that was made in 2020, it was manipulative because it was actually granting these industries, which were working in for the government itself. They were granting these industries all these rights, right? So it is some kind of misgovernance, isn't it? So basically, what I'm trying to say is these laws are framed in such a manipulative way that it benefits the government, but it is actually taking away the rights from you. It is taking away, it is responsible for threatening of your life. But since everybody cannot understand the language of law, they cannot address this problem. This is what I said. Thank you.
Thank you. Question against the motion again. Don't you think duties will be followed more efficiently if it becomes right?
Is this a question for me?
No, it's for against the
Against
motion,
the motion.
Shambhavi. सो बेसिकली ये मैंने अपनी बताया है अभी अभी कि राइट्स जो होते हैं बेसिकली ये मैंने अपनी बताया है अभी अभी कि राइट्स जो होते हैं वो एक जस्टिफाइबली के लिए होते हैं, मतलब हमारे को ग्राउंड लेवल पे ये समझना चाहिए कि राइट्स सबके लिए होते हैं, लाइक फॉर इक्वल, इवन दे आर रिच और दे आर पुअर, राइट सबके लिए होते हैं, बट जो ड्यूटीज होती हैं वो अलग अलग होती हैं। अगर वो कोई गरीब व्यक्ति है तो उसके लिए जो ड्यूटीज हैं वो अलग होंगी, और जो अमीर व्यक्ति है उसके लिए ड्यूटीज अलग होंगी। तो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन द ड्यूटीज। जो हम ड्यूटीज इवन जब हम कॉलेज में हैं तो हमारे पास जो ड्यूटीज होती हैं वो अलग अलग होती हैं, किसी पे कोई ड्यूटी है, किसी पे कोई ड्यूटी है, सेम ड्यूटी हम सब पे इम्पोज नहीं कर सकते, दैट इज इम्पोजिंग।
Okay, thank you so much. I request the participants to answer the questions very briefly.
Now we have Shannon Dhaka and Vanshika Garg. Shannon Dhaka for the motion, please. Vanshika, you were not audible.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that I am there. I don't know where Shannon is. She said that she has lost her connection. So can I speak first? She might be joining.
I think Mr. Zehidul has raised his hand. Can we take his query? One of the judges, please.
Actually, she was not audible to me. Can you, what the
You are not audible. Can you please repeat?
वो कहना है कि मुझे सुनाई नहीं दिया, आप जो भी उन्होंने कहा बच्चे ने, तो रिपीट कर सकते हैं मेरे लिए?
Yeah, sure. Shrota, can we have this participant back?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I was saying, ma'am, that Shannon has lost her connection. So can I go first? I'm against the motion. Till then, she might join.
No, 1 minute. Are you talking about the earlier team?
No, ma'am. This is the next team, ma'am.
No,
Vanshika Garg.
no. I'm asking Mr.
Sorry,
Zehidul.
ma'am.
no, it's fine. I got it now. Let the others decide.
All right. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yes. Can I start? If jury permit to go me first.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanshika Garg, and I am from Lady Shriram College. And today I am here to speak against the motion, climate justice, the human right. First of all, what is climate justice? Climate justice is just relating the global warming with a political aspect and not confining it to the environmental and ecological perspective. According to me, climate justice can be well achieved and established in a society using the concept of sustainable development. As are historically, if I talk about India, our history history is evident that many policies are made in our country, but what we lack was implementation. So I don't think that there is a much requirement of creating one more policies and one more rights and laws, and then at the end, a lack of implementation will be there. So I guess there is a need of an hour to divert our time in establishing such concept of sustainable development found in the Brundtland Commission, and awareing more people about that rather than awareing people about their right to have a social justice, and that it is their human right and they should ask for it to the government. As you can see that most of the time when we say that it's a human right, then the burden is put on the government to provide this human right to the people. We should understand the gravity of the term climate justice. Climate justice provides the power to the government itself to regulate these activities of industries. So according to me, when we talk about climate justice, is talk about that vulnerable section of this society are suffering, and we should provide them the right so that due to climate change they won't suffer. But my point is that if you see that most of the time this lower section of the society are responsible for exploiting the resources in the environment so that they can survive, and they can they can fulfill their greed. So if we impose such human justice, then it's just a problem solution mismatch according to me, and it will create a more absurd idea. So rather than this, we should focus on sustainable development and encouraging it, and cutting down all the legal activities that are there in the societies, and provide a better environment for the human and as well as flora and fauna of the country. And it will also encourage the human and the people of the society to take the baby steps for the betterment of the country. And if we talk about developing countries, I think first we should streamline our topic to the India itself. First, we should see that in India there is lot of problems in the climate. We should improve it and direct and rather than creating a law, more and more laws, we should implement it the existing concepts more wisely. So therefore, I am proud to oppose. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Vanshika has a teammate join.
I guess she's please it can take.
Am I visible and audible?
Yeah, she's there. Yeah, we can.
Sir, may I seek your permission to start?
Please, and speak loudly a little bit.
Thank you so much, sir. We have not inherited this planet from our ancestors, but have borrowed it from our future generations. Good morning, respected jury and wonderful audience. With these words of Mahatma Gandhi, I, Shannon Dhaka, am here to speak for the motion, climate justice, a human right or not? The first question that we encounter is, what is climate justice? Former High Commissioner for Human Rights Mary Robinson said, climate justice is probably the greatest human rights challenge for the 21st century. But why? Because high carbon emissions, deforestation, industrialization, and lack of policy making has led to global warming and climate change. Climate change has resulted in droughts, heat waves, and rising sea levels, resulting in floods, posing a major threat to human life. Countries like Philippines, Maldives, and Kiribati are at the verge of being submerged, despite the fact that they are among the lowest contributors to climate change. Marginalized and minorities are most vulnerable. This is climate injustice. If you are wondering how is climate justice connected to human rights, here you go. Climate change impacts your right to health, your right to water and sanitation, right to adequate housing, and even for poor people living on small island nations, right to self-determination. Where is your self-determination when you are compelled to become a climate migrant and to leave your homeland and find yourself as a climate refugee somewhere else? And of course, the right to life. Integrating human rights in climate action will necessitate higher levels of ambition and improved mitigation and adaptation strategies by making them more effective, inclusive, responsive, sensitive, and collaborative. Human rights principles include right to participation and information, transparency, accountability, equity, and non-discrimination, and these are to be kept in mind. Simply put, climate change is a human rights problem, and human rights framework must be a part of the solution. And if you think, what can I do alone? Then it's time to get inspired from Greta Thunberg. I would like to rest my case with the words of Ban Ki-moon. Sustainable development and climate change are two sides of a coin. Choose the one that you want. Thank you.
Okay, Shannon, there's a question for you. Climate change is the result of the human caused problems. So, do you think that making it a right and we should form rights to appropriate utilization of resource instead of climate justice?
Sorry to interrupt. Actually, there was a plane going on, so I could not hear the starting part of the question.
All
Would you
right.
mind repeating it?
Okay, is it audible now?
Yeah, now it's
Okay. Climate change occurs in the first place due to human interventions. Don't you think that we should form rights to appropriate utilization of resources instead of climate justice?
I think this question is meant for Vanshika because I am supporting this, that we have done this climate injustice and we are the one who have to intervene, make it a human right and do what is necessitated, follow sustainable development and ensure that this right is meant for everyone and everybody gets it.
Thank you. And Vanshika, there's a question for you too. The
Yes.
question is, do you think that implementation is the only way to achieve, or is it only enough? Implementation itself is enough for this climate justice.
Yes, I believe that implementation is very important because you can see that there are a lot of laws, rights there in the country. But do you think they are implemented and followed wisely? No, every time people are going into the courts and saying that their rights are exploited and they're putting on to the judiciary for their justice. So I don't think that that implementation is not important. Of course, implementation is important when a policy is made.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Participants are requested to please be ready when their turns come up without any delay. So in the next team, we have Shivam Kharbanda and Kartik Dubey. Shivam Kharbanda for the motion, please.
Am I audible and visible to you?
Yes, you are audible. And
Visible?
no, not visible.
Now?
Yes, now you are visible.
All right. So I will start right now. Good afternoon to all. Now, before beginning this very topic, I would like to differentiate between climate justice and climate change because the fellow participants were confusing between the two terms. Climate justice is a political factor, while climate change is an environmental factor. Climate justice is a term used for framing global warming as an ethical and political issue, rather than that is purely environmental or physical in nature. Now let's talk about the relevance of climate justice in present times. Development versus environmental degradation. IPCC reports have given strict warning about the devastating impacts of rising global temperature beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. Developing countries particularly lack funds for investment for implementing climate change actions. Climate justice helps to prioritize investment around the vulnerabilities of the communities most affected by climate change. Now, climate justice also focuses on inequitable nature of impact of climate change and brings into the picture accountability for actions done by some countries over the other countries. Now, as everybody was mentioning about the article of the Constitution, I would like to again quote that Article 21 of the Constitution says that everybody has a right to safe life, to live life in liberty, But this article is being contradicted by the Western capitalism, France, United States, all the Dominion countries in the West, because the allocation to the climate change action plan under the MOEFCC reduced from 40 crores to 30 crores in this particular budget. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Functioning on the pre-assumption that the judges have noted this down, I would like to start with the count of 3, 2, and 1. Assuming that every freedom from the discrimination in the creation of policies and projects that address climate change. But have we ever stopped for a split second and actually reflected on what we're appropriating here? Yes, in the world that never stops, due to the advent of capitalism, mankind has never got a chance to commence introspection. We are linking human rights and climate change in such a way that would result in increased focus over rights instead of responsibilities, thus affirming our self-entitled claims over nature, to which, ironically, we are the products of. Now, it is correct to say that nations in future would start making claims of a self-interested character. Who knows? Even some nations might claim a right to pollute. And this was beautifully exemplified through the colonial occupation over India, where large forests of timber were being deforested with the help of making naval shipments, especially during the Great Wars, or the forced indigo plantation, which rendered the soil completely infertile after its use. Britain was ironically too busy on focusing on its profitable nature than the actual nature. Binary oppositions have always existed in this world ever since the inception of the world. So, climate justice as a human right would mean that we are denying the rights of nature, that is mainly that of the animals, because we are practicing our immediate rights over the nature and its denizens that give us the gift of liberty. Thus, you had British imperial officers going on hunting trips with the kings of various provinces. An even better example would be the concept of garden cities of industrial age Britain, where congested cities were being decorated with small scale green belts, and this was done as a measure to attract profits through public housing, fresh air, and personal space because they were a need of the moment. Premised on human rights alone, the climate agenda would be standing too narrow a platform to turn away the tide from profiteering to sustainable development and justice. At last, climate justice advocates that we need to draw on additional norms and standards, such as the accountability from both public and private actors, which to a certain extent, an equitable climate regime can be operationalized. Talking from the perspective of Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, every institutionalized body wants to prove their dominance in front of the world. And this is the reason why even now developed nations are the ones dictating the climate policies of the developing nations. If you're defending it as a human right, then you're making it a generalized statement for the entire human race. Whereas there is a huge diversity among human beings. There are people who are dependent on climate and environment for their livelihood. So in an attempt to ensure the climate justice, everyone you might think of would end up doing injustice to this section of human beings. Finally, I'd like to conclude with the quote of Gaylord Nelson that the ultimate test of a man's conscience may be his willingness to sacrifice something today for the future generations whose word of thanks will not be heard. Thank you, everyone.
So we have a question. Don't you think that responsibilities come after the rights as mentioned in our constitution? Question for against the motion.
This is quite an ironical question, which was asked by Shubh. Shubh, I'd like to clarify your misconceptualized notions about rights and responsibilities. So, first off, the concept of rights is basically a privilege. So the concept of rights comes under the self-entitlement of a person. You are entitled to rights, whereas responsibilities come under the broad concept of duties. So let's say you are made to enjoy the rights, but you are made to follow the duties. Rights, following a certain right or practicing a certain right wouldn't necessarily mean that we have to perform a certain responsibility. These are two different concepts. I'd actually request you to please clear that up. And yeah, it certainly isn't linked in any manner.
Thank you so much. Uh, we have Shambhavi who has raised her hand. If she wants to ask any question, she can unmute herself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
So it is a question for against the motion. You talked about Darwin and the dominance theory, right? So basically, you should know that according to psychology, the idea of dominance is very different for a Western society and an Eastern society. For example, during the farming days, the Eastern societies are a little bit different. They are more socialist. So how do you tackle this problem while saying that everyone is seeking the same thing?
Okay, so first off, although the Darwinian concept of evolution is a little different because it is certainly classified in more physical terms, whereas you are also talking in psychological terms. So my main concept or my main core of focus here was to say that this concept of evolution is seen and should be seen in more physical terms because physicality and the concept of evolution is what drives the man to prove his strength and dominance in front of the other worlds. As far as farming and other things are concerned, this certainly doesn't go that way. I'm afraid the time is up. I won't be able to answer your question further. I hope I've cleared out your doubts.
It's okay. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Ritika.
One question I want to ask from jury that nobody interjected me. So how would I score for the interjection question?
Who in which team?
This is a previous team only with Karthik. I was for the
Yeah.
motion. Nobody interjected.
No worries. I mean, we have the criteria is available. We know how to judge it. So don't worry about it.
Thank you, sir.
So I mean, those people where there was no question, okay, then they will not be at loss by any means. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So we know the criteria.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Ritika and Anjali Duhan. Anjali Duhan for the motion. Please. Anjali, please.
Confirm my voice is audible or not?
Yes, you are audible, but we are not able to see your video.
Yeah, no, I'm not Anjali, I'm Ritika. I was just asking to clear up.
Okay.
Am I audible and visible? Please confirm.
Yes, Anjali, you are.
Okay, please start the timer. 3, 2, 1. सदन में उपस्थित सभी लोगों को मेरा सादर नमस्कार। आज का जो विषय है जलवायु न्याय एक मानव अधिकार, मैं इस विषय के पक्ष में अपना मत रखना चाहूंगी। महोदय, हमें यह सबसे पहले समझना होगा कि जलवायु न्याय को एक अधिकार बनाने से पहले हमें यह जानना होगा कि जलवायु न्याय आखिर है क्या। जलवायु न्याय एक प्रकार का आंदोलन है जो यह स्वीकार करता है कि जलवायु परिवर्तन से वंचित आबादी के सामाजिक, आर्थिक और अन्य स्थितियों पर प्रतिकूल प्रभाव पड़ सकता है। महोदय, जलवायु न्याय को एक अधिक ब्रॉड कॉन्सेप्ट बताने से पहले मैं यह बताना चाहूंगी कि जलवायु अन्याय क्या होता है। जैसे हम जानते हैं कि भारत ब्रिटेन की कॉलोनी था और ऐसे ही ब्रिटेन के पास अन्य कॉलोनियां भी थी जो वहां पे जैसे तो ब्रिटेन ने वहां की कॉलोनीज के जो रिसोर्सेज थे उनको पूरी तरीके से शोषण किया, उनका एक्सप्लॉयटेशन किया और जिसका खामियाजा बाद में भारत जैसी कंट्रीज को भुगतना पड़ा। वहां पे क्लाइमेट चेंज हुआ, जलवायु परिवर्तन हुआ और इसी की वजह से आज जो हमारे पास ग्लोबल वार्मिंग है या फिर जलवायु परिवर्तन से जो अन्य प्रभाव पड़ रहे हैं वो हम यहाँ पर अच्छे तरीके से देख सकते हैं। महोदय, आज हम यहाँ पे एक ऐसे संकट पर आ गए हैं उस पर जहाँ पर हमारी हर कंट्री का राजनीतिक आर्थिक व्यवस्था अलग अलग है। कोई कंट्री एक ऊंचे लेवल पे है, कोई कंट्री निम्न स्तर पे है और उस जो कंट्रियां जो कार्बन एमिशन कर रही हैं उच्च स्तर का, उनका खामियाजा आज हमारी जो कंट्रीज हैं जो निम्न स्तर पर है उन्हें भुगतना पड़ा है। अब हम यहाँ पर समझना होगा कि जलवायु न्याय को एक मानवाधिकार क्यों बनाना चाहिए। महोदय, जब हमारे उच्च स्तर की कंट्रीज इतना कार्बन एमिशन कर रही हैं और जब उसका खामियाजा हमारे निम्न स्तर की कंट्रीज भुगत रही है वो भी उस कार्य के लिए जो उन्होंने आज तक किया ही नहीं है। तो जब हमारे आर्टिकल भारत के संविधान में भी कहा गया है अनुच्छेद 21 के अनुसार कि हमें एक ऐसी हमारे पास राइट टू लिव लाइव है विद डिग्निटी, सम्मान के साथ जीने का अधिकार, जिसमें हमारा राइट टू फूड, खाने का अधिकार, पानी पीने का अधिकार, ये सब शामिल है। और जब ये दोनों चीजें शामिल हमारे किसी राइट का हनन होता है या उसका शोषण होता है तो ये हमारे पास अधिकार बनता है कि हम उस राइट के लिए जस्टिस मांगे, उसके लिए लड़े और इसी के लिए हम चाहते हैं कि क्लाइमेट जस्टिस जो है उसको एक न्याय बनाना, क्लाइमेट जस्टिस है उसको एक मानव अधिकार बना देना चाहिए। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Anjali. Now we have Ritika against the motion.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, Ritika.
Okay, so I'm starting. यहाँ उपस्थित सभी सदस्य तथा निर्णायक समिति को मेरा सादर प्रणाम। हमारे आज के वाद विवाद का विषय है जलवायु न्याय मानवाधिकार है या नहीं। मैं इस विषय के पूर्व पक्ष में अपना वक्तव्य प्रस्तुत करना चाहूंगी। महोदय, हमारे आज के विषय में चर्चा हो रही है जलवायु न्याय और मानवाधिकार की। संयुक्त राष्ट्र पर्यावरण कार्यक्रम के अनुसार जलवायु परिवर्तन को संबोधित करने वाली नीतियों के निर्माण और कार्यों के अमल में जलवायु न्याय सभी के साथ उचित व्यवहार है, और वहीं दूसरी ओर हर व्यक्ति के जीवन, स्वतंत्रता, सम्मान और समानता का अधिकार ही मानवाधिकार है। मनुष्य योनि में जन्म लेने के साथ मिलने वाला प्रत्येक अधिकार मानवाधिकार की श्रेणी में आता है। मानवाधिकार में आर्थिक, सामाजिक एवं सांस्कृतिक अधिकार के समक्ष समानता का अधिकार और शिक्षा के अधिकार के साथ नागरिकता और राजनीतिक अधिकार भी सम्मिलित है। जलवायु न्याय का उल्लेख मानवाधिकारों में कहीं भी नहीं किया गया है और नहीं किया जाना चाहिए। दिल्ली साइंस फोरम के कुछ वैज्ञानिकों एवं सदस्यों के अनुसार जब भी प्रकृति पर कोई प्रभाव पड़ता है, जैसे कि बाढ़ या सूखा, तो उससे सबसे ज्यादा प्रभावित होता है गरीब एवं हशाओं पर रहने वाले समुदाय के लोग, जिनका प्रकृति को दुष्प्रभाव पड़ाने में सबसे कम योगदान है, वे सबसे कम जिम्मेदार है। उनके एवं पक्ष के दृष्टिकोण के अनुसार जलवायु परिवर्तन में समाज में उपस्थित धनी एवं शक्तिशाली लोगों का योगदान ज्यादा रहा है, जिनका दुष्प्रभाव समाज में उपस्थित अन्य श्रेणी के लोगों को झेलना पड़ा है, जैसे कि गरीब समुदाय, मछली पकड़ने वाले, आदिवासी बच्चे तथा अन्य श्रेणी के लोग। परंतु महोदय, जब बात हो रही है पर्यावरण के असंतुलित होने की, तो देखा जाए तो कोई इसके लिए एक समुदाय जिम्मेदार नहीं है या कोई एक व्यक्ति जिम्मेदार नहीं है। किसी एक व्यक्ति को कम जिम्मेदार, किसी अन्य व्यक्ति को ज्यादा जिम्मेदार नहीं ठहराया जा सकता, बल्कि सभी व्यक्ति को समान रूप से जिम्मेदार ठहराया जाएगा। प्रकृति किसी को कम या ज्यादा नहीं देती, प्रकृति सभी को समान रूप से अपना फल प्रदान करती है। और अगर हम मनुष्य को श्रेणियों में बांट के भी देख रहे हैं, तो महोदय देखा जाए तो एक मछली पकड़ने वाला भी मछलियों को मार कर ही प्रकृति के अंग को समाप्त कर रहा है अपने फायदे के लिए। एक बच्चा जो आज के समय में शिक्षा से मुस्तैद है, ये जानते हुए कि उसके द्वारा किए गए दूरभाष यंत्र का प्रकृति एवं पक्षियों पर क्या प्रभाव पड़ने वाला है, वे उसका दुरुपयोग किए जा रहे हैं। और अगर हम बात करें समाज में उपस्थित असमान दल की, यानी गरीब लोगों की, तो देखा जाए तो उनको भी अगर सारी सुविधाएं उपलब्ध करा दी जाए, तो वह भी प्रकृति के बारे में बिना सोचे उनका दुरुपयोग करेंगे। और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है, हम इसे नजरअंदाज नहीं कर सकते कि पर्यावरण ने आज के समय में जो ये भयानक विकराल रूप लिया है, इसके पीछे सबसे ज्यादा जिम्मेदार मनुष्य जाति ही है। मनुष्य जाति हमेशा से ही अपने फायदे के लिए प्रकृति का दुरुपयोग करते आई है, उन्हें उसका नुकसान पहुंचाते आई है, चाहे वे अपने सर पर छत लाने के लिए प्रकृति में उपस्थित प्रकृतियों के अंगों को काटना हो, या पक्षियों के घर को उजाड़ना, या हमारे पौराणिक काल से पूजनीय नदियों को दूषित करना, या फिर नई नई तकनीकों के उच्चारण के लिए प्रकृति में उपस्थित तत्वों में अन्य प्रकार के जहरीले तत्वों को मिश्रित करना। जो मनुष्य जाति अपने फायदे के लिए प्रकृति द्वारा दिए गए कवच को तोड़ने में समर्थ है, वे कैसे कह सकते हैं जलवायु न्याय उनका मानवाधिकार है। और हम ये अहम बात को नहीं झुटला सकते कि प्रकृति पर केवल मनुष्य जाति का ही अधिकार नहीं, परंतु संसार में उपस्थित हर प्रकार के जीव जंतु तथा पक्षियों का भी उतना ही अधिकार है। इसके साथ मैं ये अंततः कहना चाहूंगी कि मानवाधिकार नहीं है।
Ashi, you may ask your question.
मेरा सवाल विपक्ष से है। मैं विपक्ष से ये पूछना चाहूंगी, अगर आप ये कहती हैं कि क्या नाम है, ये जो वातावरण है इस पर सभी का अधिकार है, सिर्फ मानव का अधिकार नहीं है, तो कहीं ना कहीं आपको ये नहीं लगता कि ये मानव ही सबसे बुद्धिमान होता है? मानव ही एक केंद्र है जो कि किसी रिसोर्स को या नई नई टेक्नोलॉजी को ढूंढ के ला सकता है। तो अगर हम मानव को ये अधिकार नहीं देंगे, क्लाइमेट चेंजेस का राय नहीं बना देंगे, तो हम नई नई नीतियों को, नई नई चीज को, नई नई रिसोर्स को या नई नई चीजों को कैसे खोज के लाएंगे? अगर हम ये अधिकार बाकी लोगों को प्रदान कर देंगे और सबका बना देंगे, तो मानव जो कहीं ना कहीं केंद्र है किसी भी चीज को, किसी भी रिसोर्स का डेवलपमेंट का, तो वो फिर वो कैसे केंद्र नहीं बना पाएंगे?
जी महोदय, मैं आपके सब प्रश्न का इस प्रकार जवाब देना चाहूंगी कि आप कह रही हैं कि मानव एक केंद्र है, तो आप भी जानती हैं कि प्रकृति पर सबसे ज्यादा दुष्प्रभाव जो पड़ रहा है, प्रकृति जो आज के समय में पीड़ित है, तो किसके द्वारा पीड़ित है? संसार में उपस्थित जीव जंतु द्वारा या मानव बुद्धिमान मानव द्वारा? मानव के पास अगर इतना ही बुद्धि है तो वह क्यों इस बुद्धि का दुरुपयोग कर रहे हैं? क्यों वो समाज में जितना भी संसार के पर्यावरण को दूषित करने में लगे पड़े हैं? अगर हो सकता है कि वो जितना भी डेवलपमेंट या फिर हम कह सकते हैं जितनी भी वृद्धि ला सकते हैं सही तरीके से लाएं, लेकिन जो भी आप तकनीकों का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, आप उसमें जो भी पदार्थों का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, वो आप भी देख सकते हैं कि प्रकृति को कितना नुकसान पहुंचा रही हैं। तो मनुष्य जाति द्वारा सही चीज़ों का इस्तेमाल नहीं किया जा रहा है। इसी कारण मनुष्य को अपनी गलती सुधारने के लिए, क्योंकि जो भी प्रकृति पर प्रभाव पड़ा है मनुष्य जाति द्वारा ही पड़ा है, तो मनुष्य को ही सुधारना पड़ेगा। मनुष्य केंद्र बन सकता है, क्यों नहीं बन सकता, क्योंकि जो भी है बुद्धिमान जीवी मनुष्य ही है। परंतु अगर सही रूप से मनुष्य जाति प्रकृति में जो भी तत्वों को विलीन करना चाहता है करे, तो मनुष्य जाति जरूर उसका कह सकते हैं कि मतलब मनुष्य जाति इसे आगे बढ़ा सकता है, परंतु सही तरीके से।
Shambhavi also has a question. Shambhavi, but please ask your question in brief.
ओके मेरा भी कोई सवाल विपक्ष से ही है। आपको नहीं लगता कि हम जो इस ह्यूमन राइट को लाने की बात कर रहे हैं, इसका पूरा जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो यही है कि हम जो है ऑल्टरनेटिव्स लाएं, बेहतर ऑल्टरनेटिव्स लाएं, और उसके लिए अगर हम राइट्स नहीं बनाएंगे तो लोग अपने आप को रिस्पॉन्सिबल नहीं मानेंगे। और ये जो आप बोल रहे हो कि इंसान जो है वो इस तरह से नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हैं एनवायरनमेंट को, तो वो अपना नुकसान कैसे बंद करेंगे अगर आप इसको राइट नहीं इनकॉर्पोरेट करोगे तो?
किसी चीज़ को राइट बना देने से आप ये नहीं, मानव को जब प्रकृति, आप जानते हैं कि प्रकृति ने मानव को बनाया, मानव ने प्रकृति को नहीं बनाया। तो अगर आप कह रही हैं कि मनुष्य जाति को ये राइट देना चाहिए, तो मनुष्य जाति को अगर हम ये राइट दे भी देते हैं तो क्या गारंटी है कि हम कह सकते हैं कि क्या गारंटी है कि वह लोग इसको सही रूप से उच्चारण करेंगे इसका? आपको राइट देने की जरूरत क्या है? आप जानते हैं कि प्रकृति के प्रति आपका कुछ कर्तव्य है, आपका प्रकृति से कोई नाता है, तो आपको वो चीज़ करनी पड़ेगी। या आप उदाहरण में समझाऊं तो आप अगर अपने माता पिता की बेटी हैं तो आपको इसके राइट मिले होंगे। तो चलिए समय समाप्त हो गया शायद।
कोई बात नहीं,
धन्यवाद। Thank you, Ritika.
Now in the next team we have Purvi Mongna and Kiran Bhardwaj. Purvi Mongna for the motion, please.
Yes, I'm audible and visible.
Hello? Yes, you are audible and you are visible as well.
Thank you. Please start my timer at the counter 3, 2, 1. यहाँ पर उपस्थित सभी लोगों को मेरा सादर प्रणाम। जैसा कि आज का टॉपिक है क्लाइमेट जस्टिस और ह्यूमन राइट, मैं आज इसके पक्ष में बोलना चाहूंगी। सबसे पहले महोदय मैं इन दोनों टर्म्स को आपको समझाना चाहूंगी ताकि आगे तर्क वितर्क और अच्छी तरीके से हो सके। सबसे पहले हम आते हैं क्लाइमेट जस्टिस के ऊपर कि क्लाइमेट जस्टिस का मतलब क्या होता है। क्लाइमेट जस्टिस का मतलब होता है क्या हम अपने आसपास के वातावरण के साथ इंसाफ कर रहे हैं, उनके साथ कोई नाइंसाफी तो नहीं हो रही है। उसके बाद हम आते हैं ह्यूमन राइट्स के ऊपर कि ह्यूमन राइट्स का मतलब क्या होता है। ह्यूमन राइट्स का मतलब होता है इंसानों के अधिकार, इंसानों के राइट, जो कि हमारी डिग्निटी, हमारे गौरव को प्रोटेक्ट करती है और रिस्पेक्ट करती है। उसके बाद महोदय मैं अपनी बात को एक एग्जाम्पल से शुरू करना चाहूंगी कि फॉरेन कंट्रीज में, बाहर की कंट्रीज में जो किसान हैं वो कोर्ट तक पहुंच रहे हैं। अब महोदय ऐसी कौन सी बड़ी बात आ गई है कि उन्हें कोर्ट तक पहुंचना पड़ रहा है? उनकी गलती सिर्फ यही है महोदय कि वो एक किसान है, हमारे अन्नदाता हैं। अब वो कोर्ट तक इसलिए पहुंच रहे हैं क्योंकि इस क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से, ये जो क्लाइमेट में, हमारे वातावरण में ये जो अलग चीज हो रही है, इतना प्रदूषण फैल रहा है, इसी वजह से वो लोग कोर्ट जा रहे हैं। तो अब जब क्लाइमेट जस्टिस होता है तो हम उसकी बात, क्लाइमेट चेंज जब होता है तो जिसकी वजह से उनकी जो खेती होती है वो बहुत बुरी तरीके से बर्बाद हो जाती है। जो उन्होंने इतनी मेहनत, इतनी खून पसीने से जो उन्होंने अपनी खेती उगाई थी वो सारी बर्बाद हो जाती है सिर्फ उसी चीज की वजह से जिसके अंदर उनकी कोई गलती ही नहीं है, प्रदूषण की वजह से, क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से, जिसके अंदर उनका कोई योगदान ही नहीं है। आप हमें ये बताइए, जैसे कि अब हमें से मैं कोरिलेट करके देखना चाहूंगी कि वो किसान जो कि इतनी बुरी से बुरी कंडीशंस, बुरी से बदतर हालात उसकी दिन ब दिन होती जा रही है, जिसके अंदर उसकी कोई गलती भी नहीं है। मैं इस चीज को हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली से कोरिलेट करके बताना चाहती हूँ आपको कि किस तरीके से हमारी भारतीय कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली में जो हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बना गया था तो हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स ऐड करे गए थे, जो कि बहुत ही बड़ा योगदान है हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकर्स द्वारा। तो मैं ये बोलना चाहती हूँ, चाहे आप इस क्लाइमेट जस्टिस को हमारी फंडामेंटल राइट नहीं बनाइए, बट एटलीस्ट हमारे एक राइट बना दीजिए, ताकि जो हमारी सरकार है, ताकि जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट है वो एटलीस्ट इसके अगेंस्ट कुछ कर सके, इसके लिए कुछ कर सके महोदय। क्योंकि अगर यही हालात रहे तो हमारे लिए तो ये चीज बुरी ही है, आगे आने वाली जनरेशंस के लिए भी, एक आगे आने वाली पीढ़ियों के लिए भी एक बहुत ही बुरी चीज बन के रह जाएगी। ये चीज हमें आज चाहे बड़ी नहीं लग रही है, बट कि अगर हम इस पारदर्शी से हम देखें तो एक बहुत ही बड़ी चीज है और इसके ऊपर हमें ध्यान देना बहुत जरूरी है। मैं अपनी वाणी को बस इसी प्रकार अब बंद करना चाहूंगी, यही बोलते हुए बंद करना चाहूंगी कि हम चाहे इसे फंडामेंटल राइट ना बनाए पर एक राइट बनाए, ताकि जो हमारी सरकार है इसकी तरफ थोड़ा सरकार का ध्यान आकर्षित हो और इसे एक वो एक प्रायोरिटी बना सके, प्राथमिकता बना सके। धन्यवाद।
Kiran Bhardwaj, against the motion, please.
Am I visible?
Yes, you are visible and you are properly audible.
Okay, so let me give an introduction and then you can start the timer. Is it fine?
Yes, you continue, please.
So my name is Kiran Bhardwaj and I belong to Guru Nanak Dev Khalsa College, and today I am here in front of you all to speak against the motion in the topic climate justice, a human right. So please start the timer. 3, 2, 1 and go. Friends, do you all remember the time when lockdown happened in our country? You will all remember trying different recipes, going in the balcony and seeing how the whole environment is locked. But do you remember how it affected the environment? Friends, it was a healing process. Number one, the pollution decreased to 70%. A very great thing for humankind to achieve. Number second, the emissions from the industries reduced to just 18%. And a matter of fact is, number third, there were 3 types of dolphins, including the blue nose, that were found on the shores of Istanbul. And moreover, number third, I think you all would have seen it in the news, the Himalayan hills, which were not visible from the 20 years, came in sight. So friends, what conclusion can you derive from here? How human inactivity gave nature a chance to heal itself. But there is also one more conclusion that we draw from here: how human activity affect the climate. Friends, it is very easy to say when there is a corner and you know that you should not throw garbage there, but you throw garbage there and say to the sweeper, I want it clean. I don't know, I will keep throwing garbage there, but I want it clean. More than telling the sweeper to clean it, it is your responsibility to realize that that corner is not a dustbin. Why are you throwing garbage there? And it is also equal to saying smoking 100 cigarettes a day, despite the fact that the doctor is saying to you, please don't cigarette, you will die, but you are saying it is my right to live. How can you ask for climate justice when you know that humans only are affecting it in the most bad way? So friends, animals are getting very badly affected in the same way. Pandas are decreasing, leopards are decreasing because the bamboo is not getting created. The main topic should be climate justice, an animal right, and a human contribution. It's time for us humans to realize the fact that it's we who are affecting the climate, and it's our duty to make it good so that we all can survive. It's not our right, it should be our contribution, because it's the climate who needs justice, not we humans who needs justice. So I would like to rest my debate. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak.
Thank you so much. We have a question. Why are you pointing out only farmers as sufferers ones, as they self-burn rice, straw and contribute high pollution? You are muted. Please unmute yourself first.
Okay, so this question is for me?
Yes, for the motion.
Okay, so as for the question, thank you very much for your question first of all, and I will answer your question in Hindi, I guess, because I've said my debate in Hindi, so I will go for Hindi. So I would like to tell you that as you are saying that कि मैं सिर्फ farmers को ही क्यों point out कर रही हूँ, मैं सिर्फ farmers को इसलिए point out कर रही हूँ मिस्टर, because वो हमारे अन्नदाता हैं. आप हमें ये बता दीजिए उन्होंने क्या एक ऐसा कंट्रीब्यूशन कर दिया फार्मिंग के अंदर सो इफ वो राइस बर्न करते हैं, क्यों? क्योंकि वो आगे और क्रॉप्स अच्छी तरीके से उगा सके, अपनी लैंड को वो क्लियर कर सके. आप मेरे को कोई और इजी तरीका बता दीजिए जब वो बर्न नहीं कर सकते, कोई और मेरे को आप इजी रीजन बता दीजिए जो कि वो अपने लैंड को क्लियर कर सके और दोबारा क्रॉप्स उगा सके। आप बड़ी बड़ी फैक्ट्रीज देखते हैं, बड़े बड़े फैक्ट्रीज के अंदर वो लोग पोल्यूशन, अपना वेस्ट जो है वो रिवर्स के अंदर, स्ट्रीम्स के अंदर बहा देते हैं, और इतना एयर पोल्यूशन भी होता है, उनकी फैक्ट्री से स्मोक निकलता है। तो आप मेरे को ये बता दीजिए कि आपके फार्मर्स जो कि आपका पेट पालता है, आप उसको देखेंगे या बड़ी बड़ी फैक्ट्रीज को देखेंगे? कौन लगता है आपको? आप अपने खुद जजमेंट करिए कि कौन लगता है आपको कि कौन है गुनहगार, और किसके बारे में हमें ज्यादा बोलना चाहिए और किसके बारे में। आई थिंक आई हैव आंसर्ड योर क्वेश्चन। थैंक यू।
You yourself accepted that we humans are harming nature, then why are you against this right? Which forces humans to care for the nature? Question for against.
Okay, that's a very nice question. Okay, just tell me. Right to education, right to LGBT community, they are in the constitution, but still in India, gays, lesbians are afraid to accept their identity. Still in India, many girls are uneducated. Just giving someone a right doesn't mean that you have made them realize what's their mistake. It's very important for us humans to realize that it's our mistake. What you're saying, you're saying climate justice. No, climate needs justice. Giving a right doesn't mean that you have 100% surety that a person would follow it. So I would like to rest my answer by saying that's not right. It should be a responsibility, but not a right, because it starts from realizing your own mistake, that it's you who are responsible for it, and right cannot do that. We have the answer to it. The right to education for girls, girls are uneducated. Untouchability has been abolished, but untouchability is still practiced. It's the mindset that needs to change, not right. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now we have Unnati Gautam and Khushi Arora. Unnati Gautam for the motion, please.
Am I visible?
Yes, Unnati, you are.
So first I would like to request the timer to directly ring the bell at 3, not before that. So now you may start my time. This is not a partition debate, it is a human one. Clear air, water and livable climate are inalienable human rights. And solving this crisis is not a question of politics, it's our moral obligation. A warm good afternoon to honorable jury, respected teachers and my fellow debaters. Today I, Unnati Gautam, am here to present my views for the motion, Climate Justice, a Human Right. So let's talk about what are human rights. Human rights are universal legal guarantees that protect individuals' fundamental freedoms and entitlement. Now, what is climate change and climate justice? So climate change refers to a long-term shift in temperature and weather patterns. So these shifts may be natural, such as through the variation in solar cycle. But since 19th century, human activities have been the main driver for the climate change. And this is primarily due to burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil and gases. Now, what is climate justice? Climate justice is fulfillment of human rights in the face of climate change. The human rights are intimately linked with climate change because of its devastating effect, not just on environment, but our own well-being. In addition to threatening our very own existence, climate change is having harmful impacts on right to life, health, food, and etc. Like we all have right to live with freedom and safety, but climate change threatens the safety of billions of people on this planet. The most obvious example is through extreme weather-related events such as storm, floods, and wildfires. The other major health impacts of climate change that includes great disease and death due to intensive heat waves, droughts, and etc., which affects the right to health. Climate change is obviously an assault on the ecosystem. It is beyond dispute that climate change has negative impacts on fulfillment of human rights, and hence we need climate justice. Simply, if climate change is a human right problem, the human right framework must be the part of solution. States are obligated to respect, protect, promote, and fulfill all the human rights of the people. This includes an affirmative obligation to prevent foreseeable harm, including those which are caused by climate change. I would refer to the Article 1 of UN Charter, which calls for the respect of self-determination of people. It says that state must respect the right to self-determination. Climate change not only poses the threats to life of individual, but also the ways of their life and livelihood. The realization of the right to self-determination and development are being seriously challenged by the climate. Those who have contributed the least to greenhouse gas emission will be the one who bear the greatest burden. All in all, climate justice has to be and should be a human right. I want you to act as house on fire because it really is. And if you really think that environment is less important than economy, try holding your breath while you count your money. With the points I have given, I believe I have been able to convince you that climate justice is a human right. Thank you.
Now we have Khushi Arora against the motion. Khushi?
Visible and at the same time?
Yeah, you are visible. Please go ahead.
Okay. Climate change is about something deeper than justice. It's about solidarity, human solidarity. Wishing you all a very pleasant afternoon with current air quality index as 165. I'm Khushi Arora of Vivekananda College and I'll be speaking against the motion. I'll be speaking against the motion, as I said, is climate justice a human right? I firmly believe no. It is not a human right, but it should be the one. So as to prove my statement, I would like to give certain points. The very first point, referring it to our nation, India, where the Constitution's Article 21 states the right to life, which prove the imprisonment of kidnappers, rapists, thieves, and many more. But what actually about those who are emitting gases and are using private vehicles other than public transport on purpose? Why ain't they punished or imprisoned for that matter? Because living in a polluted environment for the sake of development is no justice and is written nowhere in the Constitution. Now, coming on to my second point, wherein we know about many campaigns, such as that of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Clean India, and Green India. If there would have been proper implementation of strict laws and regulation regarding the same, तो शायद आज ये protest and campaigns करने की नौबत ही नहीं आती. Adding to this point, Indian moving abroad are following the cleanliness of the countries. Why? The answer is strict laws. Now, I would like to contradict one of the points stated by my opponent. She clearly stated that Article 1 of the UN Charter calls for the respect of the self-determination of people, wherein the states must respect the right to self-determination. So shall we consider it as a disrespect of the Article 1 of UN Charter? Because if respecting is the key, then why are people still into polluting the environment? Which clearly means people are still disrespecting the climate and taking its changes lightly. Now, at last, I would like to say that according to the current situation, I don't think that India can ever be categorized as a developed nation. Because yahan pe to polluting the roads and everywhere, it is free for them. Because yahan pe to pollute karna is free to them. If you want to change the world, start it with yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Khushi. Ashi, you can ask your question first. आशी चौहान.
ओके आपने बोला कि अगर हम लोग स्ट्रिक्ट लॉ बना देते तो शायद ये नौबत ही नहीं आती. मींस आप कहीं ना कहीं ये कहती जा रही है कि अगर हम लोग ह्यूमन राइट्स बना देंगे क्लाइमेट जस्टिस को और स्ट्रिक्ट लॉ फॉलो करा देंगे तो शायद इन सबकी नौबत नहीं आएगी. अगर आप ऐसे बोलती हैं तो क्या आप ये बात मान रही हैं कि अगर हम स्ट्रिक्ट लॉ बना देंगे तो क्लाइमेट जस्टिस खराब होगा ही नहीं, इसकी नौबत आ जाएगी, तो हमें स्ट्रिक्ट लॉ बना देने चाहिए अगेंस्ट में होके?
Yes. I am saying my against the point was key. I have cleared it very out. I firmly believe that no, it is not a human right, but it should be the one. I wish if you would have heard it. So as to prove my points, I've stated certain points. That was the point I wanted to clear out. And yeah, that's that.
Unnati, there's a question for you. How can the right of climate justice go hand in hand with other rights as well as let humans live in a standard lifestyle?
Okay, so first of all, I want to just clarify one thing, that climate justice and climate change are different things. Climate change is affecting the different rights, and for that we need climate justice. For example, you are not able to, breathe in a proper environment, which is your right to live with safety. And you should have a healthy environment, but you don't have it because of the air pollution and air pollution is causing the climate change. And that's how, if we make climate justice the right, we can go hand in hand with other rights as well, because it promotes other rights. It's protect other rights. We have this term, when you have a right, you have a remedy in law. So if we make climate justice a human right, it has a remedy for the problem that you face because of the climate change. Someone else has some other question?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we would like to have our next participants, Syed Yusra and Mohammad Aghdas. Syed Yusra, for the motion, please. Syed Yusra.
Syed, please raise your hand.
No, Syed.
Her mic is disabled. Just a second, please.
आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
Yes, you are audible.
सदन की गरिमा को मेरा नमन। मैं आज के विषय जलवायु न्याय मानव अधिकार पर अपने विचार पक्ष में प्रस्तुत करने के लिए उपस्थित हुई हूँ। जर्जर हो रही मेरी काया में भर दो थोड़ी जान, देकर मुझको मेरा अस्तित्व लौटा दो मेरी पहचान। ये केवल प्रकृति की गुहार नहीं बल्कि हमारे अस्तित्व की भी पुकार है। मानव अधिकार का मूल आधार है, जीवन का आधार, खाने पीने का आधार, समानता का अधिकार। और ये अधिकार की बातें व्यर्थ है हमारे पर्यावरण के बगैर। अगर हम जलवायु न्याय को पर्यावरण में ना लेकर मानव अधिकार से सोचें तो जलवायु संरक्षण के विषय पर हमारी गंभीरता बढ़ेगी। जब एक बच्चा पैदा होता है तो वो उस मिट्टी को अपना अंग मानता है, उसमें घंटों खेलता है। तब तो वो अधिकार शब्द का मतलब भी नहीं जानता होता, लेकिन उसके लिए जीवन के माने केवल वो प्रकृति होती है। और जो चीज उस समय से हमसे अंग की तरह जुड़ी हुई है, उसको आखिर अलग कैसे रखा जा सकता है? फिर जब वो बच्चा बड़ा होता है, हम उसको सिखाते हैं कि पेड़ हमें क्या देता है, जल से हमें क्या मिलता है, इस प्रकृति पर हमारे क्या अधिकार है। हम उसको ये नहीं सिखाते कि हम पेड़ को क्या दे सकते हैं, हम जल के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं, प्रकृति के हम पे क्या अधिकार है। हमें जलवायु न्याय को मानव अधिकार से जोड़ना ही होगा, वरना सम्मान पूर्वक जीने का अधिकार तो छोड़ो, जीवन जीने का अधिकार भी खो बैठेंगे। क्योंकि आंधियों में वही पेड़ जमे रहते हैं जिनकी जड़ें मजबूत होती हैं, और हमें जरूरत है कि हम अपनी जड़ों क्योंकि जड़ों को मजबूत करेंगे तभी तो ये दिन ब दिन आती प्राकृतिक विपदाएं इनसे लड़ सकेंगे, वरना ये आंधी बनकर हमको तबाह कर देंगी और हम कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे। इसलिए इसको मानव अधिकार से जोड़ना बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, वरना मेरी उदासीनता आपको मार देगी और आपकी उदासीनता मुझे मार देगी। क्योंकि जल है तो कल है, वायु है तभी तो आयु है। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Mohammad Aghdas against the motion, please.
Am I audible and visible too?
Yes, you are audible and you are visible.
Start my timing by my countdown. 3, 2, 1. मान लीजिए दो ग्रह हैं और वो दो ग्रह आपस में वार्तालाप करते हैं और एक ग्रह दूसरे से कहता है मेरे पास जल है, वायु है, गुरुत्वाकर्षण है, और दूसरा ग्रह उस पर कहता है वह मेरे पास भी है। तो पहला ग्रह दूसरे ग्रह से कहता है फिर क्यों तुम्हारे यहाँ वातावरण में इतना प्रदूषण है, फिर क्यों तुम्हारा वातावरण में सुख शांति नहीं। तो दूसरा ग्रह मायूस होकर कहता है मेरे यहाँ मानव है। आदरणीय निष्पक्ष न्याय मंडली, शिक्षक और सभी सहभागियों को मेरा सादर प्रणाम। मैं मोहम्मद अक्दस आज आपके सामने जलवायु न्याय एक मानव अधिकार नहीं होना चाहिए इस पर अपने विचार प्रस्तुत करूंगा। जैसा कि सभी सहभागी ने कहा, जलवायु न्याय एक ऐसी अवधारणा है जो जलवायु परिवर्तन के नैतिक आयामों को संबोधित करती है। वातावरण सलाहकार इससे कानूनी और राजनीतिक तौर के मुद्दों पर लेते हैं। महोदया, अभी अभी मेरे सहभागी ने कहा कि जब बच्चा पैदा होता है वो मिट्टी से लोथपोत होता है, वो उसी देश की मिट्टी से खेलता है। महोदया, मैं बता दूं, आगे जाकर वही बच्चा उसी मिट्टी के पेड़ों को काटेगा, आगे जाकर वही बच्चा उसी मिट्टी के पेड़ों को खत्म कर देगा। और महोदया, आप बात करते हैं उन्हें अधिकार देने की, तो अधिकार देने से तो और भी भयभीत भयानक होगा। महोदया, जलवायु न्याय एक मानव अधिकार नहीं होना चाहिए क्योंकि इससे जो देश विकास की दौड़ पर है उनकी अर्थव्यवस्था बिगड़ेगी। कैसे, मैं आपको बताता हूं। महोदया, पिछली कुछ कोप मीटिंग हुई, कोप वार्तालाप हुई, जिसमें यह निर्णय लिया गया कि हम नेट जीरो संकल्पना को अपनाएंगे। नेट जीरो संकल्पना मतलब कार्बन का उत्सर्जन 0%। अब जो देश विकासशील है उन्होंने तो ये अपना लिया, और जो देश विकास की दौर पर है जैसे पाकिस्तान, नेपाल, भूटान, वो देश क्या करेंगे? वो देश विकासशील देशों से प्रौद्योगिकी खरीदेंगे। प्रौद्योगिकी खरीदने का मतलब यहाँ की आय वहां जाएगी, और वहां जो देश पहले से विकासशील है वो विकास होते जाएंगे, और जो देश जो विकास की दौड़ पर है वो उसी जगह रहेंगे। और महोदया, मैं एक गांधीवादी होते हुए ये नहीं देख सकता कि स्वदेशी की बजाय हम विदेशी अपनाएं। हाँ, हम मानते हैं कि जलवायु न्याय एक गंभीर समस्या है, लेकिन मानवों को उस पर अधिकार दे देना ये उससे भी ज्यादा गंभीर है। ना विस्मरातु युप्यति संसारा, दुनिया के अस्तित्व प्राकृतिक चक्र को ना छेड़ो। आप सब जानते हैं प्रकृति का संतुलन बना हुआ है और मानवों को अधिकार देकर उस संतुलन के साथ छेड़खानी करना होगा, अतः हमें इससे दूर रहना चाहिए। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
We have a question for Syed Yusra. If nature and climate is a part of human life, like you mentioned, then why are rights even needed in the first place?
जैसे हमारे बहुत सारे अधिकारों का हनन होता है, तो हमें, अगर हम अपने अधिकारों के लड़ेंगे तो इससे पर्यावरण संरक्षण पे और उसको फायदा, पर्यावरण संरक्षण को फायदा होगा, और हम अपने, वो हमारे अधिकार बन जाएंगे और हम उनके लिए लड़ेंगे।
Okay. We have another question. पृथ्वी दूसरे ग्रह से ऐसा ना कहे, इसलिए तो हमें ये राइट बनाना चाहिए ताकि हम सभी नेचर को बचाने के लिए बढ़ाए हो जाएं। क्या आपको ऐसा नहीं लगता?
जिसने भी ये क्वेश्चन करा है मैं उससे पूछना चाहता हूं। देखिए, जो मैंने जिन ग्रहों की बात करी, एक मंगल है, एक पृथ्वी है। मंगल पे भी हमारे यहाँ मंगल पे भी लोग रह सकते हैं, और मंगल का वातावरण इसी वजह से संतुलित है क्योंकि वहां मानव नहीं है। देखिए, मानवों को अधिकार दे देना का मतलब ये होगा कि वो उस अधिकार का उल्लंघन करते हैं। आप वातावरण की सुरक्षा कीजिए, लेकिन एक अधिकार के तौर पर नहीं, एक जिम्मेदारी के तौर पर। जिम्मेदारी और हक में बहुत फर्क होता है। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much.
Now we have our team number 2, that's Visalakshi Sharma and Tripti Sharma. Can we have Tripti Sharma for the motion, please?
Good morning, everyone present here today. Please confirm once if I'm clearly audible and visible.
Yes, Tripti, you are.
I start lagging. So before beginning with my debate, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Preeti Sharma from College ARSD, second year, and I wanted all of you to know that we are slot 2, so we have a delayed speech, basically. I will start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Principally, climate change is the result of actions of human beings in human institutions, which means it is not the responsibility of nature, but the result of our humans' policies and practices. It's human induced. I will be analyzing this debate from a little unique perspective. I will prove to you, judges, that climate justice is in itself a human right, using examples that are a result of climate injustice. Number 1, elaborating on income and jobs lost. About 1.6 billion informal workers lost 60%, note 60% of their income, with little to no savings and zero access to social protection, which in turn leads to poverty at a global rate. Why? Because of climate change. Why again? Because climate change renders entire regions productive, induced migrations, and hence increases unemployment. Human right violated. Number 2, trade. Extreme weather events raise the cost of trade by destroying or degrading transport infrastructure and reducing agricultural production. Human right violated. Number 3, gender inequality. 80 times reducing women's ability, and for a matter of fact, the non-binary's ability especially, to be financially independent, especially in economies that are heavily based on agriculture. Human right violated. Number 4, internationally displaced people and slum dwellers, whose living conditions deteriorate day by day at an increasing pace, and their numbers are increasing with respect to climate changes and hence migration. Human right violated. Now understand, if these violations of human rights are climate injustice, when did it become wrong to say that climate justice in itself is equal to a human right that has been previously violated? A right, if violated, can significantly destroy all other rights, as justified previously. I end my argument here. Thank you so much.
Now we have Vishalakshi Sharma against the motion.
Greetings, everyone. I just like to confirm if I'm clearly audible and visible. My network is not cooperating, actually.
Yes, you are.
All right. Thank you very much. So I would just like to introduce myself. Hi, and greetings to the judges. I am Vishalakshi Sharma. I will be speaking against the motion. I start my speech in 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's high time we understood what is a human right. This is the question of importance. Human rights, according to Oxford Dictionary's definition, and probably what most of the constitutions also abide by, are standards that recognize and protect the dignity of all human beings, Human rights also govern how individual human beings live in society and with each other, as well as their relationship and obligation with state, that is the government or the country. Now understand this legally, plain logic. If we start fighting for climate justice war, like a human rights war, are we not using the court of law in an inefficient manner? Let me tell you how. Questioning you all, how will making climate justice a human right solve the problem in the best possible manner? If we're making climate justice a human right, we need to look at 4 aspects: economic, political sensitivity, technological or energy aspect, and socio-ecological. Looking at the economic aspect, most of the developing countries are following an expansionary economic policy because of which their public has more money than the government. More of the money is roaming around with public. Now, if we decide to make this a human right, understand that nations that have a hyperactive media will make it so pumped that people will be ready to spend all their access of money on this particular issue, which will create an imbalance in the economy, especially for developing countries. Second, political sensitivity. We need to understand that where political parties are free to use particular issues of importance as agendas of their own for their own personal uses or benefits, this will create a hype that is unnecessary. Even though climate justice is important, it will become more of an issue for individuals, for individual human benefit. Where are the animals being counted? Where are the plants being counted? Is climate justice only meant for humans? Technological or energy crisis. Most of the nations are suffering with an energy crisis, because of which they're able to not focus equally on all sectors. We will be focusing all our energy on this particular sector, which is not justified. Social and ecological, obviously, we have a refugee crisis going on everywhere. If we're focusing totally on human rights, we will be leaving out refugees. And remember, 20% of climate pollution is coming from the refugee crisis. We will be leaving that out. I would like to end my speech here. We need to know, let's not be selfish. Let's include everything in this particular ecosystem. Let's focus on solutions like adopting the UN Convention or the Paris Agreement, joining the RCEP back, focusing on gender and climate budgeting, instead of making it a human right, which has already got lots of problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishalakshi. There's a question for you. How can protection of nature and climate be a problem for Court of Justice when they formed laws and rights on the same in the first place?
Ma'am, I'm really sorry, your voice broke. Could I have the question again, please?
Am I audible now?
You're audible, you're audible.
Yeah. How can protection of nature and climate be a problem for the Court of Justice when they were the person to make it in the first place?
All right, thank you very much for that question. This is everything that I've been doing in my speech. This is what I said. When we're making it a human right, understand the transition. When we're making it a human right, we are no more protecting nature. We are protecting the rights of a human. Do you understand the difference? Protecting the rights of a human will make it totally human concentrated, which will be used by humans, exploited by humans for their own benefit. Protecting nature is a different concept. If you want to do that, agree to UN conventions, agree to the Paris climate change, agree to carbon credits. I hope everyone understands what the system of carbon credits is. We can do that, not make it a human right. I think your question is satisfactorily answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Shambhavi, you may ask your question.
Okay, Vishalakshi, you were saying that once we make it a human rights, it's all about human. It's not about human. I don't think so. Because you tell me we are part of the food chain, and not just food chain, also the ecosystem. So we are talking about protecting the ecosystem. And in protecting the ecosystem, even animals and other aspects of the ecosystem comes, right? So it's not about only human, don't you think?
Ma'am, the other statement was, I'll give you an example. About the Dutch disease. The Dutch disease is an economic aspect, where in every, let's say, a new mineral, a new resource is found out, the other countries will put in all in that country, try to exploit that resource, and this particular country will to give their resource to countries to exploit just for exchange of an influx of cash deposit. You understand what's happening? This is becoming everything around humans. Now, if we are trying to make this a human rights issue, we will be focusing only on our benefit. Just like here, governments are ready to let other countries exploit their resources and hence produce more carbon in their geographical boundary for money. This is what is going to happen when we make it a human right. Humans will use the court of law to justify this as their personal problem, as their rights being violated, not benefiting nature. Thank you.
Thank you.
बेहतर से बेहतरीन की तलाश करो, मिल जाए नदी तो समंदर की तलाश करो, टूट जाता है शीशे पत्थर की चोट से, टूट जाते हैं शीशे पत्थर की चोट से, टूट जाए पत्थर ऐसे शीशे की तलाश करो. I must say that the performances of all the teams was wonderful, magnificent and even marvelous. Certainly, you all have something extra, but definitely might have faced tough competition from rest of the teams. The judges too might have felt the dilemma while preparing the results. Since we are celebrating Basant Panchami today, and any celebration is incomplete without any cultural activity. So, I would now like to request Lavanya Sharma to present a folk song on spring, traditionally sung by the farmers to celebrate the onset of spring.
Khansa is not audible.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I will share again.
देखो आई बसंत ऋतु आई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। देखो आई बसंत ऋतु आई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। सरसों के खेतन में फूल लहराए, सरसों के खेतन में फूल लहराए। नीली पीली तितलियां झूमे नाचे गाए, नीली पीली तितलियां झूमे नाचे गाए। देखो खेतों से मटर तोड़ लाई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। देखो खेतों से मटर तोड़ लाई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। देखो आई बसंत ऋतु आई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। गेहूं के झुमका मटर की बारी, गेहूं के झुमका मटर की बारी। मेहंदी के हाथों से बाज रही ताली, मेहंदी के हाथों से बाज रही ताली। देखो लक्ष्मी मेरे घर आई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। देखो लक्ष्मी मेरे घर आई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। देखो आई बसंत ऋतु आई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। देखो आई बसंत ऋतु आई रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे। बागों में बोल रहे मोर पपीहा, बागों में बोल रहे मोर पपीहा। फूलों की खुशबू है गूंज रहा भंवरा, फूलों की खुशबू है गूंज रहा भंवरा। देखो चहुर छाई हरियाली रे, फिर से महका उठी अमराई रे।
Thank you so much, Lavanya. Your song really depicted the beauty and uniqueness of spring.
We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity today. More than cleverness, we need the kindness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and everything will be lost. We have the power to make this place we live in a paradise. Let's all unite today to make the planet a healthy one. Let's all pledge to make the earth a better place to live in, for not for only us, but for every single life that thrives. and not commit any mistake that might cause us. Your tiny steps for the earth can lead to tremendous changes eventually. Now, I would like to request Dr. Babita C. Kola, President NARGIS, to announce the results. Ma'am, please.
Collating results will take a bit of time. So meanwhile, if you have anything else to, present to the audiences, please go ahead. We'll take a little bit of time.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can we allow Sakshi? She has something to
Yeah.
say. He wants to give feedback.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And also, if anybody wants to discuss the topic, as I could see that everyone has so much of interest in, sharing their viewpoints.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
even that is welcome. That would be wonderful.
Sakshi?
Actually, I can go for last. You can take feedback or say something. Someone wants to say something. I can go for last because it was the suggestion like type. So I will go last.
All right. Is there any feedback anyone wants to give, or anyone want to say anything?
I have something to say. I am Vishalakshi Sharma.
Yes, Vishal.
So I just want to thank the organizing committee for being so responsive. There was the request early in the morning that I made to one of the members of the organizing committee, and they just immediately responded to it. They agreed to allowing us be comfortable because they understood like my team partner had personal issues. I remember going to competitions where they did not allow me to change my timing or my slot just because I had personal issues. I mean, that has happened to me earlier as well. But this team was perfectly responsive and also very accommodating. So thank you very much. And you organized it very nicely.
Thank you, Vishalakshi. That means a lot. Anyone else? You can also give your suggestions on the topic, or if you want to speak something more on the topic, that's also welcome.
I request everyone to please fill the feedback form. We have provided the link in the chat box.
Yes, Nishant, please.
Right, I hope I'm audible. First of all, thank you to all the committee members. This was a wonderful competition. And please do excuse me for my outfit right now. I had to change because of some reasons. And I would just like to say that we have been into many competitions, but I believe this was one of the, I'd say, one of the greatest competitions that I had, because the organizing committee was so good and responsive at all points of time. And then every participant was so good, and we actually wanted to have a lot of counter questions, but then that is right due to time limit. And kudos to all the, I'd say, the ones who thought about this very topic. And it was a bit of, I'd say, brainstorming topic in the starting, but once you understand it, I believe it was pretty good. Thank you so much.
Till then, I request everyone to please turn on your cameras so that we can capture the moment.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Some cameras are not able. Biji, can you do that?
I have enabled cameras.
Aktas, you can try again. Dear teachers, would you like to say something? So please.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Zishan. I want to say that what it surprises me that the most of the participants were girls, and I must say that all of you have done a commendable job. And also your command on the language is also very, very good. I must say you all have all of you have a very bright future, and your knowledge on the subject and your research is also very, very good. So I must congratulate all the participants for your great efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sakshi, I guess you can give your suggestion to us now. We have time for that.
Yes, thank you. And first of all, I want to thanks you to you, Sarota, क्योंकि कल हमें काफ़ी सारे doubts थे and आप बीमार भी थे. Still, you helped me a lot. बार call पे. So
My
I hope you are feeling well today. Okay. So there was a question by Shubh. I can't pronounce his surname. So Shubh का question था पूर्वी से, and she was going for the for motion. Okay. So उधर उन्होंने पूछा था ये question कि आप farmers को ही क्यों point out कर रहे हैं बार बार. और तब पूर्वी ने एक लाइन कही थी कि आप मुझे बता सकते हैं कि बर्निंग के अलावा कोई और मेथड भी नहीं है हमारे पास. सो प्लीज़ अगर आप इस इतने अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म पे हैं और ऑल्सो बोटेनिकल के इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे हैं तो आपको ऐसा स्टेटमेंट नहीं देना चाहिए था, बिकॉज वी हैव अदर इनिशियल.
Sakshi, you have been
Hi,
muted.
you got muted.
My bad, sorry. So आप जब इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे होते हो सो प्लीज ऐसे स्टेटमेंट्स मत दिया कि एक तो सबसे पहली बात कि हमारे इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट ने एक बायो एंजाइम निकाला था बीच में, उसका नाम था PUSA. इफ यू प्रोनाउंस लाइक शॉर्टली इट पुसा, इट प्रोनाउंस लाइक पुसा, PUSA. तो ये दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट ने फ्री में भी दिया था बीच में काफी सारे फार्मर्स को. एंड ये द हिंदू एस्टीम न्यूज़पेपर है और उसमें ये आर्टिकल भी अलग से छपा था फॉर नॉलेज. और ये एक UPSC के काफी सारे क्वेश्चन बैंक्स में भी आ चुका है ये क्वेश्चन. तो इसका आंसर यही था कि भाई एक बायो एंजाइम जो है वो डेवलप हुआ था इसलिए. एंड इट इज ऑल्सो अ कॉस्ट, कॉस्ट इसकी लो है, so everyone can afford it, and also the days are less, like 20 days में it can destroy the straws. And also there is a name product is urea, वो भी आप use कर सकते हैं. It will it will mix in the water and it will create the ammonia which will less harm your crops. So when you are on this platform, please don't speak like that कि हमारे पास और कोई options नहीं है. We are हमारे पास बहुत अच्छे साइंटिस्ट हैं. We are inventing more and more. Thank you. I just want to say that.
Okay, I would like to correct Sakshi. Everything was right, but Pusa is actually the a place where the Agricultural Institute is located. It's not the name of the enzyme.
Shambhavi, it is bioenzyme. It is produced by a microorganism. I have studied, and it is in the answer key of the UPSC. I think it was in the question 2008, 2018. Yeah, if I'm not wrong.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm just saying that the place, the name of the place is Pusa. It's not the enzyme. Enzyme का नाम Pusa नहीं है. ये वो जो Agricultural Institute है, that is situated in Pusa. That's it. Nothing else.
Shubh, you
Also,
want
I
to
was a
say
little curious. Yes, I wanted to ask
Yeah.
that those people who are represented their point that they actually were against of this topic. I just wanted to know, do you guys are really against, or you like prepared this for this competition? Do you like really have the idea that this should not be the thing?
What do you think, Shambhavi? What are your guesses?
A and B C होगा.
Shrota, Professor Abbas wants to speak.
हाँ, 8, okay.
Sure, ma'am.
And ARS.
Sir, please.
15 right. Huh? 15.5.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Deepika. It's a very good afternoon to all the dignitaries and the students who have participated on today's event. I take this opportunity to send extremely thanks to the organizer organizing this particular event methodically, flawlessly, and to reach up to the level of the expectation. And the students who equally participated, really, I congratulate the students, wishing you all the very best for your bright future. Most important point, what I have observed, because I have been seeing everyone who came and participated, whether it is, see, ultimately, language does not matter. The communication is a very, very important, powerful communication. Whichever language you take that spirit and then communicate to that level that it is audible, reachable, and transferable. And ultimately, everyone has conveyed the very specific information that, yes, we are nowhere less. The sky has no limit. So nothing is impossible. So this is what is the spirit that everyone has shown today. Equally, so when the topic was chosen, everyone has enjoyed and entered into that particular field and then started talking. It is not like a memorizing or not like just like that to convey the information. So the students are really, they have done a wonderful job. Wishing you all the participants for your bright career on this special occasion that you have chosen the right topic and the right time also. It's a need of the hour also to talk about the climate change. So because we are not the only one in the planet, we are one among the planet. So that concept is also excellent. And coming one of the participant has also informed the same thing that yes, we have to contribute something this way or that way. So instead of pointing out that A has not done, B has not done, why should we expect any role or something from anywhere? Anything that we are going to do, that should start from me, start from an individual, then we can keep on adding something. We should not get any kind of signal from other source that yes, we have to follow or we have to do this one also. I think that message is also very loud and clear. Extremely thankful to the organizer for arranging such a wonderful debate, which is really excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for joining, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I also want to say that all the participants were really good. I mean, they had great command on their language. I mean, whatever medium they were using, whether it was English or Hindi, and they did their research quite well. I mean, all of them were really good. So I want to congratulate each and every participant. You were all amazing.
They entered, rather, they entered into the field, they imbibed into the concept, and then they transmitted everything.
Yes,
So flawless, powerful pack of presentation. Even whether it was a poet or whether it was text informations or even for the matter of the song, things were very clear and the message was excellent. And even the debate, the question which was put, so most important point of what the student has learned, that how I can go for debating it, how I can, the counteract the debater. So, and decorum to be maintained during the course of the journey. So these are certain discipline that one has to follow, that everyone has maintained from the beginning to the end. So highly appreciable. God bless each one of the participants.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Shubh also, I think, wants to say something. Shrota, is he there? I see he has raised his hand.
Yes, ma'am. Shubh? No, ma'am, he left. Maybe he got
He left.
disconnected.
He wanted to say something. He had raised his hand. Is there any other hand? I mean, anybody else who wants to speak or say something?
Ma'am, Shubh is
He's there. Okay. You wanted to say something, Shubh? Please unmute yourself.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, but your video is not coming.
Oh, actually network problem at my.
Anyway, yeah, you can say whatever you wanted to say.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thanks to the organizers of this event for such a wonderful and amazing event I have ever seen. एंड सेकेंडली मैं एक पॉइंट भी रखना चाहूंगा जैसा कि साक्षी ने भी बोला था, मैं साक्षी से कंप्लीटली एग्री करता हूँ उस फार्मर वाले क्वेश्चन पे। मैंने जिसका आंसर भी एक्चुअली चैट में लिखा था लेकिन काउंटर्स नहीं करना था इसलिए मैंने नहीं बोला आगे। उसमें एक्चुअली मैं बताना था, लुधियाना यूनिवर्सिटी की भी एक रिसर्च आई थी जिसमें उन्होंने दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट को सजेस्ट करा था कि वो यूरिया का यूज करके फार्मर्स से कह सकते हैं कि अपने एनिमल्स के लिए वो फॉडर के तौर पर इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, जिससे फार्मर्स को ही फायदा होगा। वो उसे फेंकने की बजाय वो उसे एज अ फॉडर यूज करेंगे और उनके जो पैसे होंगे एनिमल्स के चारे के लिए वो बच जाएंगे।
That was wonderful piece of information, and I'm sure since you are all debaters and you are so much into reading, I think most of the participants are aware of this point, what you have shared, but nonetheless, thank you for sharing your views. And participants, yes, you have to be a little patient because it's a team work. And then there are several prizes that we have for you. So we are just working on it. Be a little patient. Just give us 5 more.
Also, she also wants to say something. We can hear the participants at the meantime.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Shambhavi, please.
Yeah, I had a question that, ma'am, are you guys giving the best interjection award as well? Interjector award?
It is left up to the judges. Let them compile and we'll get back to you.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you very much.
Yes, Kiran.
No, ma'am,
Kiran, you
I
wanted
just
to
wanted
say
to say
something?
it was a wonderful competition, and it was just well formed, and I just love the competition. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, this was possible only because you people, you are the best thing that have joined us today. Every member you had, yes, ma'am. Please, Poovi, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to say that your team is really great. They are very cooperating. I also just called them yesterday twice or thrice, I might say, and they just cleared all my doubts. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Poovi. Do we have any more suggestions or any comment?
Yeah, I have. This is Agdas.
Yeah, sir.
I am a student of BA programming. I comes from the commerce background, and when I go through this topic, I got to learn more and more things. So I suggest you कि हर साल आप ऐसी debate कराएं so that we would get to know about our environment.
Sure, Agdas, we will. कोशिश नहीं, but हम जरूर करेंगे. हाँ, we will. Thank you, Shambhavi. That means a lot. And yeah, I wasn't a hero. I would rather prefer to be the heroine, but I still am not the heroine because you were the people who were working day and night for preparing this debate. I was just, cooperating with you all. I think few questions were left untouched about the climate justice that we were discussing earlier. Anyone want to address those questions or the interjection that were left in the chat box?
Yeah, I had this question. Can I ask?
Yes, Shambhavi.
So everyone was talking about these rights. So I just wanted to say that rights are very much abused all over the world. So don't you think it's a little contradictory that just making a right will won't be a solution, right? So anybody who wants to answer this, please.
Shambhavi, I would like to try. Yeah, I don't have much, I didn't have much time to look at the topic, completely, but I had a little bit of overview from the topic. So I would like to try that, climate justice, that topic, it was not about making climate justice a right. It was like making cleaner air, safer drinking water, and a safer living environment for every living being. Or we consider ourselves a necessary thing, like just we have the roti kapda makan, the common Hindi dialogue. And climate justice, doing justice to the environment, can it be a right to the human? So there are two things now, like for human and for the right. So if we consider for the human, that can this climate that we are thinking that can be make safer living climate or safer living conditions a necessary thing for everyone. Yeah, that not possible because not everyone has a role in changing the climate or not everyone has a role in controlling the climate. And talking about the right, is it a right for the human to work for it or to exploit it or to control it? That was what it meant.
Okay, understood. Fair enough.
Thank you. And yeah, someone had asked that are everyone against the person who was speaking against this topic were against. I myself, being an organizer, I was a little bit biased towards the against because I feel like climate justice is not a right. It should more be a responsibility or a duty for us to do. Because no matter who pollutes the climate or who pollutes the environment or who makes the changes, it is our responsibility to act on it. But there should be restrictions in order to take the act on the people who can actually do the thing. We can't go for an infant or an old age person. We can't hold them accountable. So we need someone to volunteer them also.
Yes, that's what I said in my interjection.
But
Yes.
but don't you think that once these things are made a right, they are incorporated into the human development goals, and once they are incorporated in a human development goal, then government has to make policies accordingly. So don't you think it's the case?
They need proper, they need to frame this properly. They need proper policies, proper restrictions, proper that penalties on this in order to make this, work efficiently. Just not making human climate justice a right or a responsibility will do. There needs to be a long discussion on this to make it a policy in the government. Nakul, you want to add something?
Yes. मैं यही कहना चाहूंगा
Thank
कि
you.
हम कब तक किसी चीज के लिए करेंगे कि हमें ये अधिकार दो, हम कि हम अधिकार होगा हम उसी के लिए लड़ेंगे। हम अपनी जिम्मेदारी के लिए भी तो काम कर सकते हैं। हमारे घर में अगर गंदगी है उसको साफ करना वो हमारी जिम्मेदारी है, उसके लिए हमें सरकार नहीं आके कहेगी कि आप अपने घर को साफ रखो। तो ऐसा ही हम जब सड़क पे कहीं से जा रहे हैं या फिर कुछ भी हम किसी भी तरीके से एनवायरनमेंट को पोल्यूट कर रहे हैं तो वो हमारी जिम्मेदारी है। हम हर चीज को सरकार के ऊपर छोड़ के अपनी जिम्मेदारी से भाग रहे हैं।
Okay,
Well,
Nakul. Kiran,
Can I add something?
Shambhavi, okay, just okay, you can add. Then we want Kiran to speak. He has been there for a while.
Can I speak? Matlab,
Yeah,
Kiran?
you make it.
I just wanted to add that the question that the opponents are saying that if a right is made, so it will automatically make people responsible. But I don't think that. There are many rights in our constitution. Tell me truly, are all of them followed with all the dignity and responsibility?
Right is not followed.
see,
Right is used.
So that's what I'm saying. People should look into themselves and accept the fact that we are the one responsible for it. We are saying that climate is being unfair to us, but it becomes unfair to us only when we become unfair to it. So it's our duty first to look into ourselves and be responsible rather than saying, give us justice, give us justice.
So who are we
okay.
asking justice from? Sorry, Shambhavi, I just wanted to have this answer. Whom are we asking the justice from?
We are asking the justice from like anybody, we are asking justice from the environment or the government to take several things to protect the humankind, but the main thing is how many protocols you can take to protect.
So who is the government?
We,
any climatic government who
Human is the
started like a
government. Human is asking
yes,
for the change. So human is the root cause.
yes, humans are
मैं
the
बस
root cause
एक
for the
So make it a
degradation of the
right, make
environment.
it a right or a duty. We need a change. So if the changes can be achieved by form of a right, then right is a solution.
मैं एक चीज ऐड करना चाहूंगी कि अगर हम इसे एक अपनी राइट बना लेते हैं तो सरकार के ऊपर ज्यादा दबाव आएगा कि सरकार इस चीज के बदले कुछ लॉज बनाएगी, कुछ कदम उठाएगी और ऐसे कड़े कदम उठाएगी जिसकी वजह से ये चीज इम्प्लीमेंट होगी। तो मैं बस हम यही बोलना चाहते हैं जो फेवर ऑफ द मोशन में है कि इसको राइट बना देना चाहिए ताकि इसके ऊपर और अच्छे लॉज बन सकें और कड़े तरीके से इसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो सके। That's it.
I can help Purvi in
क्या
this.
आपको लगता है सारे लॉस इम्प्लीमेंटेड हो रहे हैं?
See, I
yes,
just
that's
wanted
what
to
I'm
add
also
some point.
Sharma,
I just
go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. Everyone is talking about duty. The thing is, I did mention it in my speech or debate as well. I was talking about that these rights are claim rights that impose responsibilities and duties on the duty bearer themselves. So it's not like once they are right, so only government will be responsible for all the things. Even the industrialists, the common people who will be exercising it in a wrong way, they'll be also responsible for breaking this right. It will be a क्या ये हमारे अधिकारों का हनन होगा, right? So also this other thing. That she was saying that एक बार जब लॉ बन जाता राइट बन जाता है तो गवर्नमेंट पे एक प्रेशर आता है, which is true.
Yeah, Nishant, you wanted to speak. Sorry, yeah, you can speak now. Sorry for the wait. Okay, he got disconnected. Yeah, I have a point to add in Shambhavi's and Purvi's favor. See, this is like the case. जीना हमारा संविधानिक अधिकार है. So उसके लिए हमें कैसी help मिलती है? Road accidents is a common accident, major common case that in India that takes large number of lives. So अभी सरकार का क्या है? ट्रैफिक रूल्स हैं, आपको हेलमेट पहनना जरूरी है, otherwise you pay penalties. So this is how our right is used for us. And this is how this climate justice as a right can be used. Vanshika, you want to say something? Kiran or Vanshika? Yeah, Nishant is there. Nishant, please go ahead. He has been there for a while. Let him speak. I think he's getting disconnected. Kiran, Vanshika, you want to add?
यस, मुझे यही बोलना था कि इसको राइट बना के मेरे ख्याल से कोई ऐसे कोई फायदा नहीं है, बिकॉज वी हैव राइट. इफ वी टॉक अबाउट इंडिया, वी हैव आर्टिकल 21 व्हिच हैव राइट टू लिव, बट आर वी रियली अवेयर अबाउट इट एंड आर वी रियली वर्किंग ऑन इट? मतलब हमारे पास है राइट टू. अगर हम इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट की बात कर रहे हैं कि वो बहुत पोल्यूशन कॉज कर रहे हैं, और मतलब हम बात कर रहे हैं कि वो लोगों से राइट टू लिव छीन रहे हैं, अगर आप एक और राइट ला रहे हो, राइट टू सोशल जस्टिस, मतलब क्या ही फर्क पड़ेगा उनके ऊपर? उनके अगर आपको प्रेशर जनरेट करना है तो राइट टू लिव उनको ये एक्सप्लॉइट नहीं करना चाहिए. उनके पास ऑलरेडी प्रेशर है, ठीक है, लेकिन वो उसी को फुलफिल नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. तो आप एक और नया राइट ला रहे हैं, पहले तो आप जो एग्जिस्टिंग राइट है उस पर तो थोड़ा ध्यान दो. तो आई गेस उनको क्लाइमेटिक चेंज पे और एग्जिस्टिंग राइट को मोर स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाने पर ध्यान देना चाहिए, जिसकी वजह से क्लाइमेट पे कहीं ना कहीं असर जरूर पड़ेगा.
All right, I agree to that too.
And one more thing is there that you would all agree that there are many rights in our constitution. Right to education for girls, but just tell me, is the the India still discriminates for the girls, right? They are not given education, and even today untouchability, there is a law that it has been abolished, but it is still practiced. So first step should be to realize our mistake and change the mindset. It's we humans who increases the temperature, due to which animals are suffering. So it's we who need to take step rather than making it a right for us.
See, I think
Rather
we all
than
have realized that's why we are here. So I think we need to start doing awareness now instead of realization. Still being in the in it won't be helping. We need to spread awareness now instead of realization.
सी जो हम बात कर रहे हैं बार बार कि हमें अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी समझनी होगी, बट द पीपल जिनके पेट में खाना नहीं जाता है वो इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में नहीं सोच पाते. सो व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट इज जब गवर्नमेंट जो होती है किसी राइट को इनकॉर्पोरेट करती है अपने ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट गोल्स में, तो ना वो जो नीचे का स्तर होता है द लोअर स्ट्राटा वो उसके ऊपर ध्यान देती है, वो वहां से शुरू करती है और वो ऐसी पॉलिसीज और प्रोग्राम्स क्रिएट करती है जो कि इस लोअर स्ट्राटा को इसको लेके मोर अवेयर बनाए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल सैनिटेशन को लेकर के ये इट इज ये ह्यूमन राइट और एक बेटर सैनिटेशन और ये सारी चीजें, और इसको हमने एचडीजी में डाला और इसके बाद गवर्नमेंट ने बेसिक प्रोग्राम्स बनाए जो कि इन सारी चीजों को अपलिफ्ट कर सकते हैं, सोसाइटी को एक तरीके से अपलिफ्ट कर सकते हैं इस आइडिया को लेकर के. सो दैट इज व्हाई वी वांट दिस राइट एंड दैट इज व्हाई वी वांट दिस राइट कि एक बार ये राइट आ जाए तो गवर्नमेंट कैन आल्सो ट्राई टू डू इनकॉर्पोरेट दीज थिंग्स इन द लोअर स्ट्राटा एज वेल.
Shamali, I would like to add one thing only here. एक टाइम के खाने की मतलब कीमत, एक ग्लास पानी की जरूरत जितनी होती है वो सब ना सिर्फ वही लोग समझते हैं जिनको नहीं मिलता. हमें हमारे घर में नल खुले रह जाते हैं. आज जैसे किसी ने कहा था, हम एक ग्लास पानी में अगर चींटी हो ना पानी पूरा फेंक देते हैं, बट उन्हें पता है वो पानी कितना जरूरी है उनके लिए. चींटी उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता उसे. एक जो रोटी होती है जल जाए तो हम उसे फेंक देते हैं कभी कभी, वो उसे भी खाते हैं. तो दे नो दिस. In short, we all know this. Others, you may.
Can I add up to your point दी? मैं
you may,
एक जी आप ये बताइए, आपके घर जो मम्मा खाना पकाती हैं वो उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है या राइट है?
That's a choice. Neither the responsibility, neither her right.
राइट, दैट्स द पॉइंट कि अगर हम इन्वायरमेंट को भी ऐसे ही देखें कि ये हमारे राइट नहीं बल्कि एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की तरह देखें, तो हम क्लाइमेट जस्टिस एक ह्यूमन राइट क्यों बनाए फिर, जब हम ये तो हमारी अपनी जिम्मेदारी है, हम अपनी जिम्मेदारियों को निभा रहे हैं बाखूबी बस.
See, हम इसे एक अलग तरीके से देख सकते हैं. Getting a climate justice is our right, but doing a climate justice is our responsibility. Someone was saying something. Sorry. Sorry, I interrupted someone. You may continue.
Hello.
Yeah, Neha, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yeah, you are. Please go ahead.
So as we all are discussing on this topic, but I just want to give a suggestion that जब हम अपना स्पीच दे रहे थे ना, तो हमें प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी टाइमर पे. तो मैं बस जस्ट सजेशन दे रही हूँ कि अगर नेक्स्ट टाइम से मीन्स लाइक कोई स्पीच दे रहे हो तो क्या ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि हम टाइमर को स्क्रीन शेयर करते ताकि हम लोग उसके अकॉर्डिंगली ही बोले, क्योंकि वो फिर पता नहीं चलता है कि कब वो बजने वाला है और फिर बीच में स्टॉप हो जाता है तो कंक्लूड नहीं कर पाते हैं और फिर उसकी वजह से नेगेटिव मार्किंग भी हो सकता है. तो फिर
See, Neha, I have a suggestion here. What if there's a network issue on our side and हम present कर रहे हैं and timer बीच में freeze हो जाता है, then you won't be able to know. So it's better जब आप अपनी तरफ से कह रही थी ना, I will be starting at 3, 2, 1. So you keep a timer on your side so you can track your time. And you need to practice the debate more to be in the time frame. I think we have Nishant here. He has been waiting for a long time to speak. So I think we can take him up. Nishant?
Right. I'm so sorry I got disconnected in between. I believe the discussion was going quite good. बीच में शायद से किसी ने बताया था कि गवर्नमेंट्स ऐसी पॉलिसीज लागू कर सकती हैं एंड दे कैन बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड. देखिए, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि गवर्नमेंट तभी कुछ करेगी अगर हम कुछ करेंगे. ऑलराइट, इट इज नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ पीपल जो यहाँ पे खड़े होकर बोलेंगे कि अच्छा सर गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज लेकर आइए, वो इम्प्लीमेंट हो जाएंगी, बट देन व्हाट ऑफ इट? एक दिन चलेंगी, 2 दिन चलेंगी, वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं चल पाता. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट इंडिया एंड देन विल टॉक अबाउट द वर्ल्ड. ऑलराइट, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अगर हम इंडिया की बात करें, यहाँ पे इफ यू लुक बैक टू दिल्ली, लाइक आई लिव नियर दिल्ली. ऑलराइट, आई लिव इन एनसीआर. सो हमारे लिए बादल देखना, तारे देखना बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, बिकॉज यहाँ पे पॉल्यूशन इतना होता है. व्हेन दिल्ली हैड इट्स ऑड एंड इवन कास्ट सिस्टम, सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द गवर्नमेंट वाज सो मच क्रिटिसाइज्ड. पहले उन्होंने बोला कि सॉल्यूशन लेकर आइए. व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट आस्क्ड पीपल फॉर सॉल्यूशंस, किसी ने कुछ नहीं बोला. ऑलराइट, नाउ व्हेन वी हैड अ सॉल्यूशन and when it was implemented, they were criticized for a long time, but after that they were applauded for it also. ठीक है, after a particular time being. अब जब हम गवर्नमेंट की बात करते हैं, we need to make this sure कि जो when we talk about being it a right पे क्या होता है, एक burden आ जाता है that you have to do it, you have to as in use it. All right, अब देखो, I have the right to speak. अब be honest with me, come on guys, be honest with me कि कितने लोग यहाँ पे ये सोचते हैं कि जो हमारे बेसिक ह्यूमन राइट्स हैं, वो जब वही वायलेट हो रहे हैं, तो हम आगे जो राइट्स लेकर आएंगे वो कैसे बनेंगे? आई हैव द राइट टू स्पीक. राइट, सो फिर
Yes,
अब
finally the results are ready. So the smiles are back. It was definitely a tough one. A very tough competition, and since you all were so good, so we don't feel like leaving anyone. A tough job for the judges, I would say. Yeah, so in fact, Professor Radhey had a meeting. VC has called for a meeting, so he had to leave, and he has given his results. And with Dr. Reetu will join in a while, just in a minute or two. And I think Mr. Zehidul is there, right?
Yes, ma'am, he is joined.
He's there, yeah, fine. So till she joins, I would like to say a few words from my side. I am very happy to see the response of the students who have overwhelmingly, given their comments generously, and also given suggestions. And one suggestion I think was from Agdas. Is that Agdas?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So yes, we have taken note of your suggestion, and we would definitely honor it by holding it, next year also. Although it's a lot of work for us, but we are happy if you people want it this way.
And there were many other participants also who had similar suggestions. They also wanted that we should hold these kind of competitions regularly.
You can send us your suggestions. We will honor them. That is a promise. So we are waiting for Dr. Reetu to join us with the results. Until then, I would say greetings from our team to everyone. Reetu is here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a very intense session. Thank you, Babita, for handing over. And it's been very intense. And really, all the judges were really impressed with the intensity with which and the enthusiasm with which the students have participated. I never thought we would be seeing so many teams. And so it is very heartening to note that undergraduate students are thinking about these things and are researching, getting information and coming out with insights that are really, that will go a long way. And I can see a future generation already to take on the cause of getting climate justice for all. So it is a very, in a way, topic close to my heart, because I am an ecologist, and we all talk of when we talk of environment and environmental change and climate change, most of us are focused on, temperature and rising of oceans and water level, but there are few other components about which we forget. And these are the soil, a resource on which all our agriculture and forestry depends. And talking of climate change, but I think we should make it a broader topic of environmental change and not just climate change. And climate justice actually should be environmental justice, I think. Anyway, it's been a really tough call, and the level of participation was really very impressive. And the insights that the students came up with were really thought-provoking. So we've had a tough time, and that is why it has taken us quite a while getting to a conclusion about the outcome of this debate. And one thing I would like to say, I never expected that the people speaking against the motion, because we all get emotional about these things, and I thought that, you know, it would weigh in the favor of people speaking for the motion, because you always have more points to talk about when you're talking for a motion and fewer points to counter. But really, I would say that the balance was very, very good between for and against, which was quite nice, because logical argument is a very important part of debating. Shall I first announce the team prizes, if you allow me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to everybody, all the participants. The fact that you're here participating in this debate means that you think about this and you are aware about these things. And then to have the enthusiasm and the conviction to participate in a debate in a public forum by itself is an achievement, I would say. All right, so shall I start in reverse order?
Absolutely.
So we have 2 appreciation prizes, and I hate to call them consolation prizes, so I am not calling them consolation prizes. We have 2 appreciation prizes because, all right, one is Motilal Nehru College evening, and another is Lady Irwin College. These 2 teams.
Yeah, please, can we have a
round of applause?
Applause for these teams.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. Then at the 3rd place, we have Shivaji College. At the 2nd place, we have ARSD College. And at the 1st place, we have Kamla Nehru College. Well done, all the participants. And for the individual speaker, the prize goes to Ritika from Shivaji College. A round of applause for all the winners and also to all the participants. Thank you.
There is this one more award, interjection.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. And this goes to Ashish Chauhan of Daulatram College. Actually, what weighed the scale in favor of Ritika as the best individual speaker was her counter to Ashish's question and the way she responded to Ashish's question. So, and Ashi did come up with a few good questions, I would say. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here. It's
Thank
been
you. You have to be a little while more.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say the message from our team to everyone. First of all, greetings on this occasion of Basant Panchami. And, you know, listening to you was a delight. We do not know how we have this much time has passed. We were just thinking it is too long, but I really, trust me, I do not know how this much time has passed. And I would like to thank judges for sparing their most valuable time for being here with us. It's a delight always to interact with you, Reetu, Zehidul, and Professor Radhey. And Professor Radhey, as I told you, he had to go because he had a meeting. And I would say, Ritu, Zehidul, that this is the time you have invested in bright minds. So this is going to be rewarding. And for the participants and for the colleagues, I would say, when we listen to these talks, I don't know, I feel a lot of heaviness after that. So much of negativity. You feel like, why are you born in an era where there is everything is going wrong? So, but I would personally say that let's not, sort of live with that burden. So there's a small quote I came across. I will just read it out. It's, don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. So let's not get consumed in the negativity and see that the world is going to end. But let's consciously live, in a very climatically friendly way and believe in sustainability and get freed from the clutches of greed. If we give away this thing, we are freeing ourselves from that clutches of greed. Then I think we will reach our target. We will, move in the right direction. So that was our message from our side to all of you. I would like to thank each one of you for sparing your valuable time. Over to Shrota.
Now, I would like to request Biji Matthew to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Shrota. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Biji Matthew, on behalf of NARGIS, the Botanical Society of Zakir Hussain Delhi College, takes this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. It gives me immense pleasure to thank each and every person who has helped in organizing and shaping this event. First and foremost, I take this opportunity to thank our principal ma'am, Professor Sangeeta Pandita, for giving us the opportunity to organize this event. My heartfelt thanks to the judges, Radhey Shyam Sharma sir, Reetu Sharma ma'am, Zehidul Hussain sir, for their mindful evaluation of the competition. I also extend my thanks to the faculty members of the Department of Botany, Zakir Hussain Delhi College, for gracing us with their presence. Gratitude to Dr. Babita C. Kola, President of NARGIS, and Vice President Dr. Deepika Sharma for guiding the organizing team. I thank the organizing team consisting of Shrota, Asrar, Preeti, Varya, Lavanya, Asna, Nakul, Asrar, and Khansa for making this event possible. I extend my appreciation to all the participants for their active engagement. It is your ability that made this day a memorable one. It was a truly wonderful experience to listen to the different views of the participants on the topic of climate justice. Also, congratulations to the winners of the competition. I sincerely hope that every one of you will work for the betterment of our environment. Finally, I thank all the audience for patiently listening and for making this event meaningful. I hope we at NARGIS continue to make a difference, big or small, with the shared efforts of all for the Mother Earth. Our hope is to make this world a better place for everyone. I would like to conclude by quoting these famous words by Bill McKibben. Climate change is about something deeper than it's about solidarity, that is human solidarity. Wishing you all pleasant and safe times ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you once again, everyone. So with this, we close our event for today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining
Thank you
us.
so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you. And congratulations to the organizing team. A very well organized event, I must say.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to remind everyone to please fill the feedback form.
Yeah, that's a must.
I would also like to request the winners to DM me their pictures so we can post them on the Insta page with the prizes.
Yeah. In fact,
Yes,
in fact, we wanted to share. Have you shared the books? The list of books that we are going to give them. I hope they are around.
Have the book, ma'am. Maybe we can.
Yeah, that was the idea, but anyway, I think it got delayed. Since we believe that debaters read a lot, so we have the gift that is close to your heart is books for you that will be sent to you. And along with that, every participant will get a participation certificate as well. Right? All right. Thank you everyone for sparing so much of time and making this a successful event.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Pleasure.